So if you are just joining, this is a session to talk about funding opportunities, funding options for graduate school in US, Canada, US and Canada majorly. Of course, we touch some other countries too. And one of the things I want to do today is to not talk too much and allow people to ask questions. That's one of the things I want to be doing today. Allow more people to ask questions because it seems many people have different, what do you call it now? Different situations which are a little bit different from each other, from another person. So those different situations, I want to address them. So I will give room for questions. And some people also who have also sent a DM that I've not been able to answer. I will also take your questions. Not necessarily via DM. If you can speak, you speak. If you can come to YouTube to type, you type it. If you don't want to speak out, you type it on YouTube. I'll read it out and I will answer the questions too. Sometimes it's difficult for me navigating DM while talking on the space session. Okay, so I also share to this space session a link. Of course, that's when I'll be talking about loans. I'll talk about that. Okay, that's when I'm talking about loans, I'll come to talk about that. All right. So good afternoon, everyone from Tallahassee, Florida. It's 2 p.m. here. I know it's 7 p.m. in Nigeria, different time, different other places. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning for those who are behind us here in Canada and US too. All right, so today we'll talk about funding opportunities, funding options for graduate school in US, Canada. We talk about assistantship, scholarship, loans, and all these things. These are the things that we talk about today. I've had a lot of questions about loans, so I'm ready for you today. I had to make my finding, I had to make my research to be able to come and tell you something meaningful today. All right. So first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to those who have received admission or funding or assistantship for fall 2023. Some of you are coming to the US, and then some of you have started. You've paid your service fee, received your I-20, preparing for visa interview. I pray success for you. In fact, some people are coming to my school, and I'm very, very, very happy for that. I'm very, very happy for that. All right. So funding options. First and foremost, how do you get funding in the US? And this is what I've mentioned over and over, that in the US, very many schools give funding to students in terms of what we call assistantships. Okay, very many schools. Now, there are over 3,000 schools in the United States, and most of them, or almost all of them, let me say almost all of them, give some form of funding. Okay, and they give it to students in terms of assistantships in the US, even in Canada too. Some schools give in terms of assistantships, and there are two. Categorically, we can categorize them into two different forms of assistantship, even though it's three. Let me just say three. Okay, the first one is the teaching assistantship. Okay, and that simply means that once you get admitted into the school, um, you are given a teaching responsibility. Okay, you are given a teaching responsibility. Your tuition is taken care of, and then you teach students. Okay, you teach labs, or you teach classes. You help, as you did help in recitation classes and the like, to assist a professor. You also grade. Okay, that's one way in which you can get funding in the United States. Another way is what we call research assistantship. Now, for this one, you are not teaching. What you simply do is that you are a research assistant. You assist your professor in doing research. And most of the time, this research, many times, is related to what you are doing. Okay, eventually, it's still a plus for you, eventually. Okay, and there is a third form which is not so common, but some people do it. It's called administrative assistantship, and what that simply means is that your tuition is taken care of, but you are given an administrative role. For example, you may be an assistant to a professor, maybe a like a something that looks like a secretary, something like that. duties that are not really teaching duty and not research duties. You may be given something like that. Now, sometimes getting these assistantships in the US, let me use US as an example. I'll just use Canada as an extension and other places. Sometimes getting these assistantships is not straightforward. Sometimes it's not straightforward. Sometimes you have to do some extra things. You have to lobby or make some applications, something like that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, and I'm going to give different examples. Okay. In fact, there's one video I made on YouTube. Let me see if I can share it to this space session. I shared that video about funding. I did that video last year, and that video has helped a lot of people, a lot of people. Yeah, let me share it. It's this. Okay. So sometimes it's not straightforward, but let me say first and foremost that many schools in the US, the way they operate is that once you apply to them, if they will not admit, if they will not give you funding, if they will not give you assistantship, they will not admit you. Okay. If they won't give you funding, they will not admit you. All right. Now, there are other schools such that they can admit students and then they give some funding, they don't give some funding, and they expect others to fund themselves. They expect others to fund themselves. In that situation, they may say, okay, apply for the funding, apply for the assistantship, and they will tell you, oh, it's very competitive. If you get it, that's good. And then if you don't get it, then that's just that about that. You have no other option. You have nothing to do. You have to fund yourself. Okay. There are schools like that. Now, there are also situations whereby a school will not talk about funding. They won't talk about assistantship, but professors will have funding. Professors will have funding, and all you have to do is to start cold emailing professors, okay, for you to be able to get funding from them, for them to be able to fund you. Now, of course, I've seen different people send cold emails to professors and they were able to get funding. I have videos on cold emailing. I might try to share it later when I have time on this space session so that some who have not seen it before can see it. Okay, so some of those schools rely on the funding from the professors to admit students. Okay, so it's the professors that has the funding and then that gives funding to the student, and the student is able to enroll in the school. Okay, and the tuition, of course, is taken care of. Every other thing is taken care of, stipends and the likes. Okay, that's also a possibility. I've also seen a situation whereby it's a friend of mine. He got a scholarship. The school, either the school or department, I can't remember. They gave the scholarship. They didn't call it assistantship. So they didn't give him any duty. He has no duty to the department. He owes no duty to the school. He just got this scholarship and it took care of his tuition. But of course, he still needs to make money for his own living expenses. Of course, he had to work and do some other things to raise money for himself. Okay, so that's also a possibility. Now, what should you do if an admission comes without funding? What should you do if an admission comes without funding? Of course, the first thing I tell people is send a message to the graduate coordinator. Sorry. Talking is not easy. Send a message to the graduate coordinator. That's the first thing I tell people. Send a message to the graduate coordinator. Let them know that you are interested in funding, in any funding that might be available in the department. Okay. Sometimes they give funding to people who ask for them or who request for the funding. Sometimes, okay. So let them know that you are interested in the funding from the department or from anywhere. Because sometimes I've seen people who got assistantship eventually, but they are not doing it it didn't come from the department. Some people were able to work outside of the department. They got funding from outside of the department where they are enrolled in. For example, let's say someone got enrolled in microbiology and his funding is coming from public health. Okay, I've seen situations like that. Okay, so let them know, let their graduate coordinator rather, let the graduate coordinator know that you are interested in any form of funding or the other. Okay. Number two, you can email your professors, the professors there that you already have this admission and you are looking out for funding. At least I know someone like that who contacted me then and said, yeah, I have funding from this school. And then sorry, that I have admission from this school, but I don't have, they didn't fund me. What should I do? And I asked him, contact some of the professors there. And then once you contact some of the professors, let them know you need funding, this and that. You cannot fund yourself. It's PhD. You can't fund yourself and the likes. And he contacted one of the professors and was able to get funding. And he came from Nigeria with his family. Okay, so I've seen situations like that before. Now, I've also seen a situation where the students contacted the department and they kept saying no funding, and at a point they got back to the student and said, oh, we have this 50% funding for you if you can cover the remaining. The student, I said, yeah, accept it, why not? And then at a point, I think it started from 25% or 30%. Then they started contacting, she kept on disturbing them, and they started contacting her again, like, okay, we have this more funding for you, 50%, 60%, and I think until to like 75%, and was able to cater for the remaining 30% by herself. So that's also possible. That's also possible. Of course, there will be schools or departments that will tell you categorically that they have no funding at all. Of course, in many Canadian schools, what they do, what they rely on is funding from the professors. So that's when you must contact professors. Okay, you must contact professors. In the US, it's not compulsory because many schools will give you the funding as part of the admission package. But in some special situations where they don't give you as part of the admission package, you have to ask questions. Okay, you have to ask them. Of course, it's also possible that when you land on campus, you start getting some funding opportunities. There are some funding opportunities that you may not know about or you may not be able to access until you get on campus or you get yourself enrolled. Okay, for example, if you check many schools, they have their career page, their scholarship page too. Many schools have their scholarship page, and there are different scholarships. They're not necessarily big money. They may just be 2,000 here, 5,000 here, 6,000 there, 10,000 there. Those sort of money, and some people access it. There may be scholarship for first generation students, scholarship for black students, scholarship for underrepresented students, scholarship for international students, all those different types of scholarship. But some of those scholarship, you may not be able to access them until you get on campus. So that would mean that you need a way to scale through you have to provide proof of fund, you have to scale through embassy, with a proof of fund and all those things. And you probably will have financial resources to cover yourself at least a semester or 1 year. Okay, because that's in the situation like that, it's not 100% assured. Okay, it's not 100% assured. So of course, another means is to fund yourself. You fund yourself, get the money by yourself. Funding, maybe you have family members who are well to do, they can give you the money, you use it. If they can't give you, they loan you the money. At least you have the money yourself, and you can show evidence, and you can pay your tuition from it. Now, when all options fail, the last option I tell people about is, I've had people ask me about loan. Okay, what about loan? What should I do? In fact, I'm looking at the question on YouTube here. This person is saying, what do you think about loan to cover deficit? Okay, so I've had people ask questions about loan. People ask about, Empower, what do you think about Empower, this and that. Now, my take on loan is usually this, that uh, if all these options fail, and you are really persuaded that you should go for this study, you can go with a reasonable loan, not just any loan. Okay, something reasonable. For example, someone was asking me recently, I said, well, I believe in a loan that will give you a long time to pay, not a loan that will put pressure on you while you are studying. And I went to ask questions about Empower. And in fact, one of the things I also usually say is this, that not just a loan, the repayment plan should be a long time. And also, you want a loan that has a package so that you don't have to struggle to look for proof of fund again. Okay. Now, for example, many loans in the US they require Choluwani, don't worry, I will still receive this request for questions. Okay, don't worry, I will still receive you. Just calm down, stay there. I'm gonna receive you. All right. So, what was I saying? Oh God. So you talk about many some loans in the US will require a cosigner. They will require this and that, and that means you have to need some. You need someone in the US who will stand for you as a cosigner, someone who is probably a citizen or has a permanent residence that has a collateral that we use. You know all those things. Okay. Now it's many students in the US, for example, study with loan, of course. For undergraduate, they study with loan and the likes. But in Nigeria, maybe I don't know how it works in Ghana. In Nigeria, for example, we don't have access to loans and the likes. So I usually say this: you want a loan. If you really need a loan, that you won't need a proof of fund again. Okay, not a loan that was okay. We borrow you this, and then you can't present that because you don't have the money on ground, and you can't present that to the school for them to include it in your I-20. So I usually recommend that if the loan will include it in your I-20, like there's a relationship between the loan company and your school, and they will include it in your I-20 that you are funded, and it shows in your I-20. Okay, I think that's a good thing. I mean, I didn't know there was a loan option that does that before until I asked questions about the Empower. And what I found out is this. Uh, of course, okay, I will come back to the limitations. Let me make you happy first before coming to the limitations of that type of loan too. Of course, they will have a relationship with some of these schools in US and Canada. And once they have said they will be funding you, your information goes to the school directly. From them, they communicate with the school. They give them the proof of fund, everything. And the school, when the school is generating your I-20, the school will include that you have fund from Empower. They will include it there, such that if you have seen an I-20 before, they will list your expected expenses, and then they will list the amount you have, or the amount you have said you have, based on your proof of fund or based on your whatever you have submitted. So in the amount that your expenses column, they will list, let's say, oh, you need $30,000. Your tuition is maybe, let's say, 15K. Your living expenses is 25, books 5,000, everything amount to 30K. And loan Empower 2 will be on the other side of the money you have. And it will be not just for tuition only, it will also include all the living expenses. Okay. And what that means is that when you are getting the money from Empower, they will pay your tuition and they will pay your living expenses to the school, and the school will in turn pay you. But of course, you don't have to work for them. It's not like assistantship. This one is a loan that the relationship between you and the loan company. Okay. And then you start getting your stipend from the loan. Okay, you start getting your stipend from the loan, and of course, you still have your 20 hours to work. You can work as a student for 20 hours. You still have the opportunity to work. Okay, now this is not the downside, but this is what they do again. Payment for it is, of course, 10 years. At 10 years, you're able to on the, what do you call it now, on the capital. Okay, I think there's a way they did payment, because they have an interest rate too. There's a way they did payment on interest rates while studying and those stuff. But that shouldn't be a problem, since you'll be getting stipend from the same loan, and then you have the opportunity to work too. Uh, but this may not be available for those who are studying, who are going for PhD, because the loan is just for those who are going for program for 2 years. Now, those who are going for undergraduate program, if it is the last 2 years of your study, they can take the loan too. Okay, that means those who are studying in the US already, who are probably international students, in the last 2 years of their study, they can also take it. Now, in fact, there are some students from FUTA. If you are in Nigeria, there's a relationship between FUTA and a school here in Tallahassee, FAMU. There's a relationship between FUTA and FAMU. And I've seen students come from FUTA to FAMU in their final year. Okay, and some of them struggle, do Uber, do this and that, do DoorDash, try to raise money to pay their tuition. If they are aware of an information like this, they will just get such loan. It's just 1 year, and then they have 10 years to pay back. So that's it's not a downside. It's just what they said, what their own principle. They can only fund for 2 years. That means those who are doing PhD, whatever, may not be able to access it. Okay. And of course, the support for embassy, blah 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 blah. So if you ask me about loan, that's the type of loan I will recommend, so that it goes into your what do you call it, I-20 straight away, so that you don't say somebody gave me a loan or somebody will give me a loan, and in the at the embassy, what you are trying to do is to still look for statement of purpose from an uncle to a brother to a whatever, and then you are struggling to convince the VO that you have the money. Okay, so for this one, you won't need to go around in that manner again, because it is already in your I-20 that this loan is coming from, this money is coming from so 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 so. I don't know the exact name they will put there. I don't know if they will just, maybe they will call it scholarship, maybe they will call it loan or empower. I don't know what they will call it, but at least it will be in your I-20, and you have the support letter from them. And they are reputable institution, okay? And they're reputable institution, and then of course the money goes to your school, the money comes back to you, they remove the tuition, living expenses come down to you, you still have the opportunity to work, but you pay their money back. And of course, they don't select everyone. Okay, they don't select everyone. That's one thing. I think there's a way they'll try to assess those who have the, what do you call it now, the right cause or whatever, to be able to earn enough to pay back. And you can pay back from wherever you are, wherever country you find yourself, even after your graduation. And you have 10 years to actually pay it. All right. So that's that about that. Now, in fighting for funding, so, and if there's anyone who is looking for the link, um, I have it on this Twitter space. I pinned it on this, what they call it, Jumbotron or something. That's what they call it. So I pinned it there. You can find it there and look for the link. I also have the one, a video, comprehensive video I did on funding, proof of fund and the like. I also pinned the video. Yeah, you can access it. Now, before I open the floor for questions, because I've said I want to receive more of questions and then just give answers to questions. Um, know that funding, of course, can be very competitive, and you shouldn't give up. I know someone last year who was about giving up because the school didn't offer the person like funding, enough funding. I think they say 20%, blah blah percent, but she didn't give up. She kept on pestering them, and then they kept on refining. Okay, maybe this and that. In fact, once you get on campus here, I know some people who didn't have the full funding, and they kept on pushing from the department. Okay, I know someone whose funding is not coming from her own school. Okay, she is enrolled in a school, the funding is coming from another school. I know those who are enrolled in a department and their funding is coming from another department. So you won't give up. I know someone whose funding was coming little by little every semester. They will just say, "Oh, we have 3,000 for you," and then they will say, "Oh, there's this scholarship they are giving all students in the department," and then they will give 5,000. But of course, you need to scale through all this process of interview, of visa interview, and the likes before you can get to US, before you can access such things. And if you want to do such things, I usually advise that you should have the money for a year at least. Have your own money for at least a year. All right, let me open the floor for questioning because we won't take too long today. We won't take too long today. Let me start with the questions on YouTube. So Precious, okay, Precious deleted a message. Okay, I think I answered your question, Precious. Okay, I answered your question. And if you're on YouTube too, I put the link under this video. Precious, if you are interested in that, you can click the link under the video. Okay, so Isaac, you're asking, how do you respond to a yes or no question during your online application that says, will you enroll for the program if you are not given funding? Well, so Isaac, this will all depend on you. So because this is a funding question, it start with you if you want to go, or do you want, if you want to go for it. Okay, if you think you can manage to get funding, answer yes. If you think you can't get funding, just answer no. Okay, but if you think that there's a possibility that when the admission comes, you might still want to struggle to get funding from whichever means, okay, then you can answer yes. For example, for me, if the first in the first cycle of my the application cycle I did an admission in a school, but without funding. Now, I let me say this: you cannot work in the United States and make enough money to pay for your tuition. Let me say this first, and okay, ahead of time, you cannot work and make enough money to get to pay for your tuition. How much your tuition is around? Maybe $30,000, $40,000. You can't earn enough, okay, to pay for it because you are only allowed to work 20 hours in a week. Okay, so I didn't have that understanding then, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll work when I get to the US and start getting money to pay my tuition and the likes. And I already met people like uncles who had enough money in their account, and they gave me their statement of account, like, okay, use this and the likes. Of course, I'm not sure they were willing to give me the real money, but of course, as at that time, and I used that statement of account. I wanted to use it to get my I-20 at that time. And as I was trying to do it in the middle of the night that night, and I just felt, is it worth it? Will I be able to struggle in the US and make enough money to pay my tuition? I started questioning myself, and I just stopped it. I didn't request for the I-20 again, and I deferred the admission. And I waited for another cycle, and I made applications again. Okay, and I got funding at FSU where I am today. So it all depends on you. If you think you will be able to also to make it. Now there are some, okay, depends on department. So there are some department that you don't have too much funding. Okay, that it's rare to really find funding. If you find funding, MBA, for example, people find funding. It's not full funding. All I've seen who got a form of funding, it's a partial funding. Let's say maybe 10,000 out of 50,000 out of 40,000 or out of 45,000, maybe 5,000 funding and the likes. Okay. Now, if you really love it, that loan is an example. I think they approve those who want to do MBA because they know afterwards there is a potential of earning high. Okay. So, get you potential of getting a high paying job and the like. So, I think that person may want to consider. But if you know that there is funding, for example, chemistry, I can't imagine someone who is in chemistry, let's say you got if you're admitted into chemistry and they're asking you, will you take it without funding? I would tell you to say no because I mean it's chemistry. There are a lot of funding in chemistry, for goodness sake, a lot of funding in chemistry. So I will tell you to say no in that situation. Okay, I will tell you to say no in that situation. But if it's in a course that it's so difficult to get funding or people don't really have funding, I will say you can give it a thought. Okay, think about it. If you can get a way to fund yourself, yeah. But if you cannot, I'll just say no. Isaac, that's what my answer will be. All right, on Twitter, the floor is open for questioning. If you want to ask questions, you can ask for the mic. You can request for the mic. I will recognize you. If you're asking on YouTube too, you can ask on YouTube. All right, Small G's, you're asking this question from YouTube. You are saying, is it possible to get fully funded scholarship for a graduate program without writing an IELTS and the likes, GRE, SAT, WES, and official transcript? Please answer this. It is important. Smart, learn to write things in full. This important you wrote here, you put it the way you shortened it. One can interpret it to mean impotent or something else. So please learn to write in full. All right. So this is what I would say. There are schools that see Nigeria as English-speaking countries. Okay, many schools regard Nigeria to be an English-speaking country. That means for such a school, you don't need to write IELTS or TOEFL. Okay, so and what that simply means is that you already communicate in English, you can communicate with them because IELTS is an exam to assess your level of communication in English. Okay, so once a school recognizes Nigeria as an English speaking country, you don't need to write it. In fact, what I tell many people to do is that uh, write to the school. Let them know that you are from Nigeria. Let them know that you are from an English speaking country. You've been learning in English all your life. You've been learning in English all your life. Everything you do has been in English. Okay. In fact, they accuse us, they beat us for speaking vernacular in school then. All right. So let them know that you are from an English speaking country, you are from Nigeria. English is the official language in Nigeria. English is our official language in Nigeria. Let them know that. Okay. And once you're able to establish that, some may waive it for you. For example, when I came to FSU, of course, I had my TOEFL. I wrote TOEFL during my second trial and I passed well. And when I came to FSU, there is still an exam, an English exam that international students were meant to take. And we went to the exam center. And by the time I got there, those ones had received a call that I should not, take the exam, and they told me, oh, that I won't be taking the exam, that they just received a call from my department that I'm from Nigeria, I'm from an English speaking country, this and that, and I'm exempted from the exam. And I left. All other international students, they wrote the exam, people from India, blah, 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 other countries, they wrote the exam. It's just like TOEFL, IELTS too. That's the speaking component. It has all those other components. Now, for GRE too, many schools are waiving GRE. Okay, many schools are waiving GRE for people, for candidates currently. So, and that's one of the things COVID-19 brought to us. Many schools waived GRE during COVID-19, and many are still waiving even up till now. They are still waiving even up till now. So you can find schools that are waiving GRE. SAT is for those who are getting into undergraduate programs, okay? And for WEST, there are some schools that want you to do WEST evaluation of your transcript. Some schools are saying that. FSU, my school, started saying that this admission cycle that is still currently on, they started saying that for people to do WEST evaluation of their transcript. But of course, there are schools that only require unofficial transcripts. There are schools that only require unofficial transcripts. Okay. All right. Let me take a question from Twitter. Let's start with you, Apia. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you for always sharing good tips. So I want to ask, I was recently recommended for admission into Masters of Public Health at FSU.
Oh, okay.
So I'm waiting for the acceptance letter from the graduate admission committee. But I'm yet to get it. So I want to ask, do I need to start asking for funding from the department, or I should wait till I get the real, like, should I get till I get the admission letter from the graduate admission committee?
So okay. So you cannot know if you have funding, if the department is giving you funding until you receive your letter. Okay. So you cannot know if you have funding until you receive the letter. So you wait to receive the letter first, or you can ask the graduate coordinator about funding, to ask about funding in the department. Let me see. Who do I know in public health? I'm not sure I know anyone in public health, but I know people in some other medical courses who have funding, actually, who have research assistantship. They were able to get funding from a professor. Okay. But ask the graduate coordinator about funding so that you know. But you can't actually know if they are giving you funding until you receive the letter. But it's not a bad thing to ask the graduate coordinator ahead of time. Okay, it's not a bad thing. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you are very much welcome. Omogena Moses, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Samuel. I think Happy actually asked one of the questions I was going to ask, because I recently got recommended for admission at University of Maryland.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure if I should engage, my programs director for funding, or I should just wait for the proper official acceptance letter. But based on what you said, I think I would just send him an email anyways.
Yeah, just to know. Yeah, just to know the funding opportunities. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
So second question. Okay, thank you. Second question is, this might come off a bit naive, but I just wanted to get clarity. So when you get a loan, for example, from a company in the US to finance your master's, now how does that affect your post study visa? does that mean that your visa is going to be extended until you get to pay up the loan, or what's the arrangement? What does the policy say on that?
Okay, I think that's a beautiful question. So from I don't know how many other loan companies work, but for Empire, what I know about them is that number one, you can pay from anywhere in the world. Okay, you can pay for anywhere. Number two, of course, in the US, many people study after you finish studying. There's what we call for many studies, many in STEM. For many in STEM, there's what we call OPT. Okay, and OPT means you have that transitional period between being a student and being a worker. Like you can look for job. It differs. I think the time you are given differs from those in STEM and not those in non-STEM. So for like 2 years, you see those who are on OTP and they are working and doing all those stuff. So you can get a job and start doing stuff. And if you want to leave the US, yes, you can leave. You go to wherever you want to live. You don't. It's not compulsory to use the OPT. Okay, optional practical training is not compulsory to use it. And of course, many people get transition from there. Many people get job. I know someone who is in non-STEM. She's spent that little time OTP, got a job, and then transition from student visa to a work visa. And she's working in the US currently. I mean, I know when she finished, I knew around the time she came in and the likes. Okay, so that is very, very possible. For many who want to leave the US, many leave the US too, but of course, they will still get to pay the money back. There's a way uh, the company build trust with you and the likes, and you are still able to pay the money back. Okay, did I answer your question? Moses, did I answer your question? Okay, we can't get to most again. I want to believe that answered your question. Before coming back to Twitter, let me pick another question from YouTube so that YouTube people are not angry with me. Okay, so Olajide, you're asking, is it advisable to contact more than one supervisor in the department when searching for supervisors or funding? I would say don't do that at the same time. Okay, wait for a response from someone before you contact another person. Because when you're contacting the professor, you will be writing in your letter or in your email that I'm interested in your research work. I've read your paper on this, which you should do. I've read your paper on this and that. I love this which you are doing. It aligns with my research interest. It is this and that, blah, blah, blah. So you don't want to send that to many professors at the same time because they communicate, and most likely the research will be in almost the same line of research, almost same line. And imagine they are communicating and say, "Oh, in fact, a boy named Jide Olajide contacted me from Nigeria, said he's interested in my work, said he has read my paper, blah blah blah." And the other professor say, "Ah, the same boy contacted me. He said he has read my work. He said he has done this and that." And you see, they just say, "Oh, I'm serious boy. He's just contacting us." So you want to receive a response from one professor first and foremost, either yes or no. If it's yes, then that means you stick. But if it's no, then you look around again and look for the next person to send it to. All right. Cruise missile, let's have you. I hope we are safe. Cruise missile.
You're very much safe. Good evening, Samuel.
Yeah, good evening.
Thanks for the space. Thank you. I actually joined late. It's a bit late.
Oh, okay.
See, I have a question. At the moment, I have 3 admissions from the US, namely University of Massachusetts Lowell, Michigan Technological University, then lastly, University of Colorado at Boulder. So, and all of them came without funding. I don't know what to do at this point. And this loan of it, I don't know chances of having my visa approved if it affects visa approval. You know, I've written to the faculty members once I could reach out to them. They were telling me that they don't give funding to people that are not in the country, like students are not in the country.
Oh, they're saying they don't give to those who are not in the country.
Yes. One of them told me in confidence, like they don't give out funding to.
Yeah, some schools do that. That's true. All of them without funding.
And another one from Colorado told me that their teaching assistants are for PhD students, like that PhD programs, not for MSc. So at this point, I just got confused.
So if you push from the 3 and then you can't get something out of them,
Like in case of Massachusetts, like the program coordinator in my department told me that they are funding specifically for PhD students. That is rare. They rarely fund masters. Not just
what department?
Environmental engineering.
And interesting, I have someone. I have a friend in University of Massachusetts, Lowell, in physics. She's Chinese anyway. She's not Nigerian. And then and of course she's funded. She's funded because she's doing a PhD. So this is what I would say: if you try and then you can't push enough for them, one option for me, what I want to do is, if I don't want to defer, because most likely that's the first thing that I will want to do, to defer and look for funding in another school. That's one option. Another option, if you want to go through the loan route, of course, you have to even see if you will be approved first. Okay, because they don't just approve everyone. You have to see if you'll be approved first. Maybe that's the first thing you want to do anyway, to see if you'll be approved. And then you said the loan, yeah, they don't even approve everyone actually. They don't.
Okay, but the three schools I mentioned, that I think they're still part of they're eligible for the Empower loan.
The three schools are eligible. Interesting. So if I want to do, if let me use myself as an example now. If I want to use the loan route now, what I would do is to go to the school that will give me funding when I arrive. You understand? So that even if Empire disburse the loan for me once, I won't need it a second time.
Okay.
You understand? That's what I will do if I want to do that, if I'm in that situation, so that I won't have to what do you call it, do that. But another option is just to wait another year. If that's proving difficult, it's just to wait another year and apply to some other schools. Look at schools. Some of it, when I was applying, one of the things I used to do is to write them a message before applying, to know if they give funding to everyone that is admitted. I want to know that, so that I don't fall into the situation they give me admission and I don't have the funding. Okay, so that's one of the things I actually do when I was applying. But loan route is an option. That's what I usually say is the last option. If you see the tweet I pinned to this space session, if you go through it, I have a link there. That's my own unique link. When you click it, it shows Empower that you are coming from me. Okay, and I used to say that loan, if every other thing fails and you think you want to go for it, I see it as the last option. Okay, I see it as the last option. And if I'll be going with the loan, I want to choose a school that will give me funding after I arrive, so that if Empire disburse loan for 1 year, I won't need their loan a second time. I'll just use it 1 year and then I'll get funding from the school. That's what I want to do. Okay, now, of course, talking about chances for... Okay, you want to ask a question?
Okay, I would like to know if you know of any person that got the loan while in Nigeria and passed the visa process, like got the visa, passed through the interview without being denied or something. Because I've been discouraged by many people.
Yeah, personally, I will start looking for one person. I know I've asked the question on Twitter maybe last year or 2 years ago to see if there's anyone who has actually gotten it. Personally, I don't know anyone, but I've heard that there are people. Okay, I've heard that there are people actually, and of course, the generally now, the what do you call it now? The success rate of interview generally, even in Nigeria, even for those with funding, there are people who are even denied with funding too in Nigeria. So it's I think that's a general thing with not just Nigeria, with some other countries too. That's a general thing. But I've had people that there are people, I don't know anyone personally, but I've had that there are people who have won it that way before. But it's usually a general question and things that you cannot really predict.
There's no problem. Thank you very much.
You are very much welcome. So let me pick from YouTube again. Let me pick one question from YouTube again before we get to from Twitter. So Isaac, you are saying, can Nigerians apply for FAFSA in the USA? No, FAFSA is for citizens. Okay, Nigerians cannot apply. So for those who don't know FAFSA, yeah, FAFSA is one of the ways US citizens can get funding for their studies. Okay, so they apply for FAFSA, they get funding for their studies, but it's not applicable to Nigerians. It's just for US citizens. Okay, so if you are a citizen, you can apply for that. All right. So let's have you Thames. Thames, let's have you.
Hi, Mr. Samuel. Good evening.
Good evening. First lady to speak today.
I don't know what time of the day you are there. So
This is 2:43 p.m.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for the information so far. So I have like two questions.
Okay.
And my first question is based on the last speaker that said that he get admission into 3 schools and none came with funding. So I wanted to ask that, how do you know the particular schools that give funding and the ones that doesn't give funding?
Oh, okay.
In the US? And then the second question is because my most preferred country is actually Canada, but I'm trying to explore US because my course of study is chemistry, and I learned that there's like more funding.
There are a lot of funding in chemistry.
So I was thinking that because I'm so lost, because there are so many schools, there are so many like universities, so it's just a whole lot to start searching. So I don't know if we have like a compact list of schools that gives funding opportunities, because it's not like you're not getting admission or finish, you're not saying that there's no funding.
Yeah.
So that's
and you now be running up and down. All right. So thank you for the question. The first question: how do you know the schools that give funding? Okay. Number many schools write it on their websites actually that they give funding to all who are admitted. So many write it on their websites that they actually give funding. Some don't write it. Some you have to message the graduate coordinator to be able to know if they give funding or not. I did that a lot when I was applying to schools. I messaged graduate coordinators. It's a lot, and the many will tell me, oh, they give funding to some students. They don't give. Most of the ones that tell me they give funding to some students and not all students, I start looking for another school. It was some that it was free application that I had to apply to. So some write it on their website explicitly that we give funding to all students. Some write it that they give priority to PhD students. Okay. And some don't write it at all. For those who don't write it, I message the school to know. And talking about chemistry, yes, there are a lot of schools with chemistry in US. If you can search my page, just type chemistry on my page, you should be able to see some list of schools who offer funding. I've compiled them before. Uh, I feel lazy now these days whenever I see people, I see other folks who share admission information and they share list of schools. In my mind, I'm like, yes, this person has done it. I don't need to do mine again, that they are doing a really good job. That's my excuse for being lazy these days. But those times when I used to be very active, sharing a lot. So you see all those different courses. So if you are in chemistry, math, physics, agriculture, whatever, search my page, you will find those schools there. I have some schools. I listed 20 schools doing. For chemistry, I think I listed so many schools too. At least you will find 10 schools that have listed doing offering different assistantships, offering assistantship in different courses. Okay, so you see there. So look for it, search for it on my page, you will find it. And I apply to my school too. My school has a lot of funding. Florida State University.
Do they have application waiver?
Chemistry, I don't think so, but it's just $30 anyway.
Okay, that makes sense. How about West evaluation?
So they started doing West evaluation this year for Nigerians and Ghanaians. But now this is it. Some departments will tell you if they're admitting you or not before you send the West evaluation. So that means you're already sure that you are going there, then you won't have issues spending that money for West evaluation. So there will be initial decision which they may make using the unofficial transcript, but you now have to do West evaluation. I think that's what many departments did this year.
All right, thank you very much.
There are a lot of Nigerians in chemistry in my school. At least I know maybe 10 Nigerians who are in chemistry. Yeah, I think I
Okay.
personally
That's
know
what.
10. Yeah, so they're
Yeah, okay.
and
Maybe
they're
if I
doing well.
put your school into consideration, maybe I'll get back to you.
Okay, no problem. That will be good. That will
Thank
be
you
good.
very much.
You're
All
very
right.
much welcome. All right. I said I'm picking two people before going back to uh to YouTube. Chiamaka, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Anyways, yeah, I actually tried connecting back, but I don't know what was happening. Though I've already written it on Twitter, but let me just say it. So I was actually applying for a school today in the US, and when I was filling the form actually came with assistantship. So when I clicked on it, I saw all the departments, but I actually what I'm actually opting for is nutrition and dietetics. But I didn't see my department there, so I just have to just save my application. I just have to save it, and I was like, okay, let me just wait for the main time till I can just. I was just lucky. I just came on Twitter and I just saw this. I was like, wow, okay, this is fun. So I don't really know what to do. My question is, what will I do? Can I just pick on any other department and just continue with my application?
So, okay, first thing you may, if nutrition and dietetics is what you really want, you can send a message to the department first and foremost to know and to know if they actually have funding or not. And if it turns out that they don't have funding and that's what they are saying, you can look for another department you are interested in and apply. Because why apply to a department you know will not have funding at the end of the day? Eventually, your research interest is what matters and it may align with some other departments too. Let's say if someone who is interested in toxicology, for example, you can do toxicology from biochemistry department, you can do toxicology from chemistry department, you can do toxicology from what do you call it, um, from what do you call this department, pharmaceutical sciences. Okay, so it just depends on the department doing the research you're actually interested in. So you can look out for some other department. Nutrition, maybe you can look at departments like, I don't know, maybe your research interest maybe in public health or maybe in some other stuff that you may be interested in. All right, I want to believe that answered your question. Let me pick another question from YouTube.
Sorry, I have a question.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you. So let me pick another question from YouTube. Uh, so Chima, you are asking, is there fully funded postgraduate scholarship for first class graduate of economics in Canada or USA? So I will answer you, Chima. There is fully funded scholarship for all students, okay, even those with low CGPA. Of course, first class can be an added advantage for you. It's very possible you can find it can give you an edge, but even those with 2-2, those with 2-1 are getting this scholarship. And as I've explained from the beginning of this session, I explained that it's usually in form of assistantships, especially in the US. I think I've also made a list of schools offering assistantships in economics before too. So if you search my timeline, you can find schools offering assistantships in economics. You can find schools offering assistantships in economics. So Chima, yes, it's very, very possible. Let's come back to Twitter. So Sir Bobby, you can unmute yourself now.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I saw my time here is 7:51. So I saw this question that was just previously asked now is kind of related to my question. The question I have now is that I finished with a 2 to 3.0.
Okay.
And now the scholarship options that I've been seeing have been like favorable to like first class students. Yeah, people that finished with first class.
Yeah.
So I don't know how possible it will for the people that finish with 2-2, like, because I think this thing is usually has a okay, there's usually a limit to people they can accept, and I think they go from the top to bottom. So before they can get to people that finish with top with 2-2, I don't know how possible that will be.
Okay.
So I don't know if you could shed more light on schools that will be favorable to we that finished with second class lower.
Okay, I've answered this question multiple times on Twitter and even on YouTube. I have a video I actually made on those with low CGPA, how you can boost your chances and the likes. Now, and I've explained before that the thing you should keep in mind is that these schools, many of these schools, they don't only look at the CGPA. They look at the application in a wholesome manner. They look at everything, including your experience, including your what you have done, including what you want to do, including the skills which you have. They look at everything all together, and it's very possible for those with tutu to have some of these skills, and someone who has a first class does not have those skills, and they will still admit you. I know a lot of people with tutu who have gotten into different schools here in the US. Okay, so don't let that discourage you. If you can find that video I did on how to those with low CGPA can gain assistantship, can gain this scholarship, it will be very beautiful. You can look for. In fact, I have a friend who we finished together. He had two, okay, and he had a scholarship uh, in the US to study, not even assistantship, because they took care of his tuition and he didn't have to what do you call it now? He didn't have to teach, he didn't have to TA, do all those things. They took care of uh, his tuition and he just had to fend for himself for other things. And he had to too. I have other people close to me who had to too, who are doing their PhD currently. So you just have to sharpen some other skills, okay? Gain research experience, gain volunteer in an organization, volunteer in a lab, do this, do different things just to learn other new skills, just to boost your profile. It's very, very possible, Sir Bobby. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You
This
are
was
very,
really helpful.
you are very much welcome. So you can do it. I know a lot of people who have done it before. You can also do it too. You can do it. All right. Ugochukwu, let's have you. You can ask your question.
Okay, good evening, sir. 7:55 p.m. here in Nigeria.
Good
I
evening.
Hope you're doing well. Okay. I want to actually ask something. Around September last year, while we were on strike, actually, I'm currently final year undergraduate biochemistry. Yeah, so around September last year, I applied to many schools in the US, for undergrad program, and I've actually had experience because some of them actually gave me admission. About two of them gave me admission, but due to finance and all that, I had to drop, and and the school reopened. I went back to school. So recently, I've actually attended many boot camps, and some person have been saying that it's not just enough to graduate without any experience, just like you said, and articles and all that. So recently, I started reviewing articles on management of depression, and my project was to have talked to my supervisor that hopefully I'll be publishing it. So I want to ask a question. Actually, is it feasible that maybe when someone graduates with, let's say, a second class paper, that when you have this, let's say you have articles that are published, you have test scores. I don't know GRE, IELTS, the one that is the best. But you have this test scores, and then you have a good CGPA. Currently, my CGPA is 4.2/5. So, do you apply to the schools directly, or do you actually go to a professor? Because I believe there are some that have funding. So you actually go to them and say, okay, this is what I have. Submit your CV, submit everything to them, and they accept you. So which one is okay? Apply to the school or to the professor? So with all these things at stake. That's my question, sir.
Okay, so you should know what the process is for each school. You apply to schools directly. But of course, as I've mentioned earlier, there's a possibility that you want to send cold emails to professors to know if they have funding and they can take you in. Okay, and I've explained, if I have a video I did on cold emailing to professors, I have one I did on how to code email, and I have another one which I did on the benefits of code emailing. I've seen enough to tell you that it's a beautiful thing to send cold emails to professors. Okay, I've seen the benefit for a lot of people that have benefited so much by cold emailing professors. So I can say yes, you can cold email professor, but it doesn't mean that you have apply to the school. In fact, I shared something recently about a professor close, who someone told me about, who needs a student, and I shared it on Twitter here recently, who needs a student. And then of course a lot of people applied, and then one of my followers reached me in DM and he said he has been chosen by the professor. And I met one of the students close to the professor, and I said, yeah, this thing you shared with me about this prof, blah blah blah, we found a student. But it doesn't mean that the student has been admitted. Okay, it only means that yes, the student is agreeing to provide funding once it gets into the school. So all the student needs to do is just to apply formally to the school. Okay, so you can cold email professors, let them know you are interested in them, let them know you are interested in their research work, let them know all those things. Okay, you can do that, but of course it doesn't mean that you have applied. You still need to make applications yourself. You still need to make applications yourself. I hope that answered your question. Oh, it's out of the speaker. Okay, yeah, I believe it answered your question. All right, let me quickly take one question from YouTube again. Before I come to Ima. Um, okay, so Atta, you are saying, "Hi, sir, what's the possibility of getting a visa approval for an MS program when someone has already done that same MS already in Nigeria?" Well, I've seen people who have done MS in Nigeria before and then got admission for the same MS in quotes. Uh, and then they were able to get visa. Okay, I've seen that happen before. Of course, there are different reasons people do that. People want to do a different research, okay, or they want to use better facilities, better resources, and the likes. Okay, so that's possible. I've seen that happen before. I know people someone in physics who has a master's, like got another master's, then got another master's for US, and then went that way. I've seen different people, okay, in that light. Chemistry got a master's already, got another master's in the US, and then they travel. So the difference might be in the research area you want to do. In fact, okay, even though I came in for PhD, I had my master's already from Nigeria. I came in for PhD, and I know some who were doing their masters in Nigeria, they left it and then applied. Okay, and I know some who were doing their PhD, they left it and applied for a PhD. I've seen that over and over and over. Okay, so yes, that's very very possible. Ima, you can unmute yourself and ask your question now. Ima, Ima Ofem. Okay, I think Ima is having issues with his network. Uh, Alka, Alka Singh, you can unmute yourself. Alka. Ima, if you can come up now, you muted it again.
Hello?
Okay,
Hello?
okay, Alka, just briefly,
Hello?
let's hear from Ima quickly. Thank you, Alka. Yeah, Ima, you have the floor now. Ima, you have the floor. Okay, Ima is having terrible issues with his network. If you can go to YouTube, I have the link on my page. If you can go to YouTube, type your question there. I'll see it. If you're having trouble coming here, Alka, you can unmute yourself now.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
hello.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Am I audible to each and every person?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
My question. Am I audible to each and every person?
Yes, you are audible, loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Okay. So my question is, first and foremost, I want to thank each and every person for their questions, because I also wanted to ask a few questions, but through other people, my questions were cleared. And because few of the things I have not researched on my own, therefore I cannot keep questioning about those topics. Once I will research, then I will come with up my questions. But few of the questions I had in my mind, and already people have asked those questions.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much.
I've always seen you on the timeline. I've seen you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So I love you, each and every one. Whatever you tweet, it encourages me morally, and
I'm motivated to study because I've always loved studies. But in between, what happened because of my health issues, I was not that much able to focus. But your tweets keep me continuously motivate me towards the studies.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, it is very, very possible. Yes, you can do it. That's what I tell her. That's what I say around. It's very, very possible to do it. And don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Even when those circumstances come around and it feels like you're going to give up, don't give up. You can do it. You can do it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. A blessing, let's have you. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Good afternoon from Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay, my question is I've been given admission and a couple of universities are giving admission. But because of my course, it's not a research based, it's a course based course.
Okay.
And finding funding is actually very hard. Like a couple of schools gave me like some gave one gave me 2,500, one gave me 5,000. But compared to the tuition and the living expenses, it's not. But then there's this one University of Nevada that has assistantship opportunity for because I messaged all the programs for assistants and all of them are just talking. But Nevada said I submitted my resume and all of that, and they said they will be teaching from 15th of May to 15th of June.
There will be what?
But the problem now is,
You said they will be doing what?
They'll be picking people for assistantship.
Oh, okay.
But now the issue is applying for IELTS because they've been sending me reminders like it's like a threat. Sending me, I really want to push in for the school as to see at all the funding will be there, but they've been pushing for IELTS and be like deadline. And the Gmail they are sending it from replies. I don't know if I'm supposed to message the program or the graduate school that they should chill and they should wait for. I'm waiting for the assistantship position if I'll be selected before applying for it.
Okay.
Because I feel like the date is giving me like June. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It's looking what program again? What's your course? Information system. Oh, okay. Well, and it's a master's program, right?
Yes.
So if you there's nothing you can do with those who are sending you messages for what do you call it now, for I-20. You can't stop them. They just want to keep reminding students so that they can get things done as fast as possible, especially when it's an international student that needs time to really apply for visas and the likes. Okay, so there's nothing you can do until you wait on and see what the decision will be. Okay, to see if that decision will favor you, and then you'll be able to get that. But of course, in the meantime, you can also start looking out for schools in case you have to wait for a year again. You can start looking out for schools that has funding. Okay, or if you will self-fund yourself, you can self-fund yourself for a year first and foremost. But of course, you said the fee is very, very expensive, very, very expensive. But whichever, I always say it, if the school does not give you funding and you can't self-fund yourself, and you can't go the route of the loan because of many reservations that many have, then you have to what do you call it now? You have to defer that's what I advise people, defer the admission and start looking out for schools that has funding.
Okay. What if can I apply for I-20 and not go at the end of the day if the funding doesn't come? Like
of course you can. So the thing is, for you to apply for I-20, you will need a proof of fund.
Yes, like people source.
Okay. Yeah, of course you can apply for the I-20 and get it and decide not to go. That's very possible. That's very possible. So in my time, during that time, that was before COVID, they used to send I-20 directly from the US via courier to whichever country you are. Okay, and you will be the one to pay for the movement of the I-20. So that was why I stopped doing that application for my I-20 during when I was doing it, because I was about paying like 30,000 naira or something to send the I-20 from US to Nigeria. And I felt if I won't go, why should I waste this money? Okay, when we can use it to buy rice at home and buy blah blah blah, and then buy baby food and the likes. Okay, but now they send it via email, so nothing is lost. It's cost them nothing to just print I-20 and all those stuff. You may decide not to use it eventually. Okay, or especially even if another school fund you eventually, you may request for that I-20 and use that I-20 for service. But if you pay service fee with that I-20, that is where it gets a little bit complicated. Not complicated, but that is where your the school has been registered under your name, or your name has been registered under the school in the United States. So what you need to do is, if you have registered for it now, I'm just explaining this for some who might be in that same situation. Let's say you apply for I-20 from a school, and then you pay your service fee using the information on the I-20, and you discover that, oh, I don't want to go to this school again, I want to go to another school. It is possible. Just request I-20 from the other school, go to service page, apply for changing of I-20 information. Okay, so you just switch that school from the from the former I-20 to the new I-20, and then that's it. Okay. So for those who will be in that situation, or who are presently in that situation, that's very possible. Because some people, just to beat the timeline, they try to start ahead of time, and then a school suddenly gives them funding, and they have to make those changes. So that is what you actually do. I hope that answer your question, Blessing.
Yes, thank
You're very much welcome. You're very much welcome. All right. Let me take one more question from YouTube. Then I come back to Twitter. Yeah, Prince, I see you on YouTube. Yeah, thank you for joining. That Prince is my wonderful guy from Ghana. He's always is very very consistent. All right. So Isaac, you're asking, is it true that one spouse or dependent cannot work in the US? Yes, you cannot work legally in the US. If you are a spouse of someone who is a student, you cannot work legally in the US. You cannot work legally in the US. But you can do that. You can work legally in Canada. You can work legally in UK if you are the spouse, if you are dependent of someone who is a student. Okay, that's very possible in Canada and UK, but not in US. All right. Um, Ebuka, I think it should be you now. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Good evening from Nigeria.
Yeah, good afternoon from Tallahassee.
So I want to ask. I was recently applying, and I was recently checking out some schools, and I was looking at their requirements. So I noticed my CGPA was kind of close to what they require when I converted it from their own skill to my Nigerian skill, or from my Nigerian skill to their own skill.
Okay.
So I reached out to a friend in he's currently doing he's a graduate student in the University of West Virginia. So he told me if I used the West calculator, that it's probably going to be higher and it's going to meet their own requirement. I don't know if something like that exists, or I really don't know. I'm not looking for clarity around that thing he said.
How did you convert your own? You just did 3/5 times 4?
Yes, 3/5 times 4 divided by 5. I think so.
So it doesn't work that way actually. That's not the way CGPAs will be computed. Okay, so they still have to break everything down and then reconvert. Okay, still do the GP add divided by the grade point, the units and all those stuffs. They still have to do that. So it doesn't work the way you do it actually. Of course, there's something like West Calculator. If you just type it online, you should be able to see it. And that's one of the reasons why some schools ask students to do what we call West evaluation. Okay, so it doesn't work by just dividing. Just do, oh, I have 3/5 here, so let me just do 3/5 times 4. No, you will get something wrong. So yes, West evaluator Calculator is one option. Of course, some schools will ask you to do West evaluation. Another option is they will split it out, and then instead of 5 units, making the scale of the point, making it over 5 units, they make it over 4. Okay, where A is 4 and not 5, and then they start doing all those things and recalculate. So it doesn't work the way you have calculated it. And even if you are a bit short of the CGPA, remember I've said it before. If you have been here from the beginning, I said it that CGPA is not the only thing that is considered. Okay, CGPA is not the only thing that is considered. They also consider other things like your experience, your volunteering services, your research output, if you have written a paper before, if you have all those other things that make you a solid profile, that make you complete. Those are the things they also check, not just CGPA only. CGPA is just one of the factors. Okay, and I advise people with low CGPA, and I've seen many people do it. I say build yourself, build. And I usually give the example of my wife. When she was in Nigeria, she finished MSc in biochemistry, and she went to IITA to learn a lot of things. It was difficult then because at that time she was even pregnant with her baby, and she would go very far from our house. We have to go that long distance, do learn. She was learning a lot of things there. And those things became a very integral part of what she wrote in her SOP. Even when she met her advisor here, the first time they met, when she was looking for who we supervise, and she went to the woman's office and they started talking. And the woman was like, "Oh, you did this in Nigeria, you did this in Nigeria, you did this in Nigeria," because she learned a lot. IITA is in Nigeria, but not a Nigerian company like that. It's an international company. So look around where you can sharpen your skill, where you can volunteer, where you can learn something, where you can do something. Okay, look around, and then you see that you can boost your own profile too.
Okay, that's noted, sir. Thank you.
You're very much welcome. You're very much welcome. All right. Ima, are you able to talk now? Okay, Ima.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Samuel.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks for this space. I really appreciate. So, I have an offer from the University of Minnesota, US. So, but prior to the offer, I have inquired from the program coordinator who said that they offer TA and GA.
Okay.
But the offer came without any of those. But when I inquired about the TA and GA again, why I didn't have it on my offer, I was told that it's not yet time, that they will send out they'll send out information on that later on. And I've been waiting for a long time now, like it's getting to 2 weeks since they sent out the offer. So I'm trying to find out, should I just continue waiting, or should I look at other means of funding? What will be your suggestion?
So first thing I'll say is keep all the options open. Okay. Number two, have you contacted a potential advisor before, like writing cold email to professors? Have you done that before?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Can you?
I didn't get you.
Okay, so I was saying that have you considered sending, have you, or not necessarily considered, have you sent emails, cold emails to professors before about funding for them to be your advisor and the likes? Have you done that before?
No. But before I applied, I reached out to the program coordinator. I asked a lot of questions about the program and whether they offer
Assistantship.
TA or GA, and he accepted, and he even gave me direction on when to apply. And he told me that there is no additional application for.
Okay.
Yes.
So you may send a reminder, but another thing you can do is this: send an email to look around the department. If there are professors you are interested in working with, you can send them email, tell them you've been admitted here in Kinicom, but you wish to work with them, blah blah blah, and ask about funding too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
do
one.
that.
Yeah, so look for professors you want to work with that you're actually interested in. At least you wrote some professor's name in your SOP when you applied, right?
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're very much welcome. You're very much welcome. You're very much welcome. Tolulokpe, yes, you can unmute yourself. Tolulokpe. Okay, Tolulokpe is not available yet. My brother, Safelo, I salute you, sir. You are very much welcome. You are very much welcome. Yeah. Amen. Amen. At least I have you to answer some questions too. Thank you. Thank you. Adeniyi, you are muted already. Oh, you quickly ask your question now.
Okay, thank you. Good evening from
Yeah, good
Nigeria.
evening.
Yeah, I got so far because I applied to quite a number of for PhD political science. But right now, I am waitlisted in Utah, University of Utah. I'm waitlisted in University of Chicago. Anyway, let me just go straight to the point. Two universities, Kent State University and Kansas University, they've offered me admission. But in Kent State, they didn't even mention anything regarding funding. But I've tried to reach out. I've sent about 5 different people, the program coordinator, and the admissions administrator and all that. I've just sent like 5. None of them have replied. But Kansas, in their acceptance letter, they said I'm waitlisted for funding. That I should wait for mid-April or late April. So my question now is, what should I do regarding the first question regarding the university that waitlisted me? Is there anything that I can do to boost my chances of coming off that waitlist and getting accepted?
So, but did they give you admission in that school?
Which one?
The one that waitlisted you. They gave you admission, but waitlisted for funding.
Yes. They wrote it in the acceptance that they understand that Kiniko that I am waitlisted for funding. But Kent State did not even answer. And it's so annoying. It's like, anyway, don't let me conclude. They didn't even answer. I sent like 5 different people. No response at all. So the first one is the university that waitlisted me for admission. Is there anything that I can do to boost my chances? The second one is regarding Kansas. What can I do? Like, is there possibility of getting funding?
Okay, so let's start. Let's start from the one that waitlisted you. I think the first thing is you should know the reason why you were waitlisted. Because I think what happens in the school, for example, will be that they offer some funding, they don't offer others funding. Okay, and then many people, if you see your admission, you will see that they ask you to make a decision on or before 15th of April. I hope that is correct, right?
Yes.
Before 15th of April. And that's what they will do for everyone, even those who they offer funding to. And that means, and of course, not everyone will accept that offer. So what happens is that after 15th of April, when they see that there are some who did not accept the offer and funding is still available, they look for those that are on the waiting list and they offer them that funding. So that's one reason for waiting. Number 2, one thing you can do again is that, yes, you are waiting, but send a message to the graduate coordinator to see if you can reach out to professors Okay, if you can reach out to professor. I'm saying it because I know people who have gone through this route and eventually got funding. Okay, they were given admission without funding and they started contacting professors, and then eventually they were able to get funding. So tell the grad coordinator that you want to reach out to professors, that you at least you wrote some names in your statement of purpose, that you want to reach out to those professors. And then when you write out to them, tell them that you are admitted without funding, this and that, that you are on the waiting list, and then just explain the situation to them, that you are open, that if there is funding, you really want to work with them, this and that. So that's something you can do.
Yes, sir. And the second one, is there anything like in the Buta now that just withdrawn me? Is there anything that I can do to my chances?
So the university that just gave you admission and they are not responding, so many things can be responsible, busy, they don't know what to say or something. One other route you can take, one other route you can take is to try and see how you can what was the name of the school again?
Kent State.
Kent State. What department?
Political science.
Oh, political science. Okay. I actually know someone in Kent State. But one thing you can still do is to, because I know they have funding from some department, is to see if you can get in contact with a student there to know how things work. If those ones will not respond to you, you can try and get in contact with a student. LinkedIn is a very good tool to use. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So get in contact with a student to know how things work. Many times, some students may even know the internal things going on and the likes. For example, I know some internal things going on in my school. So if I have someone who is coming to physics and is telling me, "Oh, this was happening," I may just hint the person on what is going on. The person will know if the person should keep on waiting or just push on, whatever. So that may work out for you too. But of course, send a reminder to those you have sent email to. If it's about 1 or 2 weeks already, send a reminder to them that you are still waiting for them, because sometimes professors too are busy. I mean, even me that I'm here, I sent an email to one of my prof. He didn't respond in time too. Okay, and I had to walk to his office, like to go and meet him today. Like, oh, guy, I sent you a message now, blah blah blah. So they are very busy too. They are very busy people too. But if you have tried the reminder and it does not work, try to shoot a student an email.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. I just logged in. I was watching YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So I just thought that you were live. I didn't even know anywhere, but immediately I saw you were responding. I knew that you were on Twitter. So
okay.
I saw some questions, quite a lot of questions on YouTube. Maybe you should check your YouTube once in a while.
I'm checking. Yeah, I'm checking. We are alternating. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So let me pick question from YouTube again. Okay. Ike Henry, you're asking, please, can I get full funding in mechanical engineering from many US schools? Yes, you can get funding from mechanical engineering. Yes, that's very possible. People get funding from mechanical engineering, and yes, it's a lot. People get it a lot. Different people. I know people from. If I still met someone from mechanical engineering yesterday, he's from what's this country from? Which country? Maybe is it Mexico or something? People get it actually. Yeah, US schools. And I have, if you check my Twitter page, I have schools that have shared offering assistantships, offering scholarships in mechanical engineering. So yes, people get it a lot. People get it a lot. Precious, you sent me a DM on Instagram, but I haven't replied. I can't remember the last time I entered Instagram. Precious, I'm not an Instagram person. I'm sorry. But I can see your message now. You can definitely ask your question. All right, let's get back to Twitter. Toyosi, thank you for joining in. I can see you. Eshebubo, thank you.
My God, thank you. I didn't want to speak this but I keep going. Okay, let me just be listening to what you are. Good job, sir. But I've not heard anybody going for education in the US.
Don't worry.
I don't know people going for education program. I beg now.
Don't worry, education is coming. All right, Ban. Let's have you. You have been trying to talk. Let's have you. Yeah, is your HG Mercury? Is your nice one. Ban Mercury. Let's have you.
Okay. I had something that I'm a mechanical. Actually, I said mechanical engineering. Everything was 4.8. So I'm trying to tell I once applied in the University of Manitoba in Canada, but it didn't work out. But I want to come into US now. I want to know if I can get full funded in US mechanical engineering. Currently, I'm working in Nigeria. I'm working in a plastic company in Nigeria. So I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm not seeing anybody. I don't know. So let me just ask.
Yeah, just like the same answer I gave to our other friend that asked that question. There are funding in mechanical engineering too, and I've shared some of them before. If you just search on my timeline, just type mechanical engineering under my profile. Just type mechanical engineering under search, just search button. You know, some people when they want to gossip, they go and use that search thing. Use it to search assistantship, please. So type mechanical engineering and you will find schools that I've shared before offering mechanical engineering. In fact, if you just type engineering, because I've shared electrical engineering, shared civil engineering, so many of them, you can go through the links of other engineering schools and even find assistantship for your own engineering. So there are schools offering assistantship in mechanical engineering. It's very possible.
Okay. What wording of GRE is this too possible?
What of what?
Can I use my wording of GRE?
Yeah, so I mentioned that before that many schools started waiving GRE because of the pandemic, and many are still waiving it. Okay, but not all schools are waiving it. For example, my school FSU they waive GRE. My wife at school they are not waiving GRE. She had to write GRE. Okay, so it depends on the school. It depends on. I mean, she really wants to do research in her own school. Like she loved the research they are doing there, and even though she will have to write GRE, she still had to go there and she wrote the GRE. Okay, so but some schools they are not waiving, I mean, they are waiving the GRE currently. They didn't put back the what do you call it now? The requirement. So yeah, you can actually find such schools. But of course, you have to search well. I used to say that it takes a lot to search for schools. It's actually one of the tedious thing you have to do in this admissions process. I mean, and I have a video on how to search for schools offering assistantship in your course of study in case there's someone here who is going through my profile and is saying, no, I can't find this school, I can't find this course for my own, I can't find any. I have made a video on how to search for assistantship in your course of study. In fact, I demonstrated it using fine arts. I demonstrated using religious study, all those courses that you think they won't have funding. I demonstrated it using those courses, and we found funding in some of those courses. So look for the video on my YouTube or on maybe I may share it later today after this space session. So watch out for it and then you go for it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very much welcome. You're very much welcome. All right. Tolulokwe, let's have you. Tolulokwe. Okay, it seems Tolulokwe is having issues with his network there. Moses, I think you've asked your question before, right? But I saw your hand at some point in time. Maybe you want to ask the question again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Simon.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, my Wi-Fi, tripped off. So the last thing I just wanted you to repeat. I'm sorry to everyone too for dragging us back. The last thing I heard was OPT when you were giving me clarity on paying back a loan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the last thing I heard. I wanted you to just, if you can just wrap up and so I could hear what you said fully before my Wi-Fi went off.
Oh, okay. So let me just quickly repeat that. So I was saying that Number one, the loan is such that you can pay back from wherever you are in the world, wherever you are working. Okay. And number two, of course, there are some things they take care in the process of applying. That's why I said not everyone will qualify for the loan. They will have a very strict way they select those who get to qualify for the loan. And of course, they don't fund PhD students because PhD is 5 years and they only do 2 years. So they do masters and then they fund those who are in the last 2 years of their BSc. And I gave the example of those who are coming from FUTA in Nigeria. They come to FUTA to farm you in Tallahassee, Florida here. And then they spend their last session. In fact, there's also a school in Ghana. What's the name of this school? I've forgotten. Maybe if I call this girl. She's also here in Tallahassee. She came for her final year. She did 3 years in Ghana, did her final year in FAMU, Florida here. So, but they have to pay in such situations so they can fund such people too. And I was saying that after graduation, there's what we call OTP, where you can search for job and start working, and within that period, convert your student visa to a work visa. And I gave the example that I know someone who has done it before. Not just someone, I know a number of people who have done it before. Some even do PR straight away, depending on different method which you can use. Okay, so that's possible. And for those who say, okay, I don't want to work in the US, I want to move out elsewhere, or I want to go back to Nigeria, or I want to go and do whatever. Yes, you can go back. There's have a way they get their money back. They have the structure in place. So you can pay back from wherever you are in the world, actually. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. So, when you're applying for the loan, are you applying through Empower itself, or you're applying through the school?
Okay, so this is the way it works. They have relationship with these schools already. Okay, so you apply to Empower. If Empower approves you, if they approve you, you then they pay once you get your I-20. Okay, no, of in fact, before you get to I-20, Empower then reach out to the school with a proof of fund, and then everything comes out in your I-20. Everything comes out in your I-20, like the way I-20 is, they will say, oh, this is expenses and this is the money you have. So everything comes out in your I-20 as the money you have to pay. Okay, so they are, and I Empower is paying the money directly to the school, including the stipend you will be receiving. They pay directly to the school, and that gives you opportunity to even be able to work for 20 hours because money is coming for you, which you didn't really have to work for, even though it's a loan, okay, which you have to pay back. But you can, of course, start working too for 20 hours and add that to what is coming to you. Okay. So, and for those who are just joining who didn't know what we are discussing, loan was one of the option. I call it the last option anyway, especially if the course you are going for does not have funding in any form and you don't really have funding too. And then, like MBA, we don't really have too much funding. MBA, they give you the fee will be 40,000. They will give you 5,000. You have to look for 35,000. In those situations, I always say that the last option is loan if you can't have the money and you really want to go. Okay. And then I mentioned, if you see the pin tweet, I pinned a tweet to this space session. If you just go to the top of the space session, you will see that tweet there. There's one about funding and there's one about loan. Okay, so and I have the link there to apply. Is a unique link to unique to me, and then it shows that you are coming from me, blah blah blah. And then he was asking the question that how do you pay back? Okay, because you are going to study in the United States and then you don't know where you will be afterwards, blah blah blah. And my explanation is that the way Empower work is the requirement to even be selected is very strict. Okay, so if you can scale through their process, their requirement, blah blah blah, they have a way of getting it back. And he was asking, can you work in the US even after I finished study? And I said, yes, people do it. Oh, that's what OTP is for. OPT rather. OTP is something else. That's what OPT is used for. So within that gap, you look for a job. Once you get a job, in fact, many people look for a job in their final year. They start looking for jobs. I know someone Nigerian who finished his master's before his graduation. He already got a job. If I'm not one or two, and I know someone who already got a job during the OTP, and the company was able to sponsor her, and then she changed it to a working visa, and then blah blah blah. Some from there they change it to PR and the likes, and it goes on and on and on. So that's what I try to recap. That's the response I was giving him, and I'm trying to recap for everybody. Okay, I hope that answered your question, Moses.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel.
You're very
Thank
much
you.
welcome. You're very much welcome. All right, all right. Let's pick another question from YouTube again. Okay, so I already you're asking, good evening, sir. I study accounting. Do non-STEM get funding in Canada and UK? Ah, okay, so I will say yes because I've seen before in Canada. In UK, yes, I've seen some on funding, but not necessarily from the school directly, but from different scholarships. Okay, so yes, non-STEM get funding too. In fact, one of the things I would do one of these days is to bring those I know who are from the non-STEM track to talk about how they got funding, because I know many of my followers used to say, "Oh, is it only STEM?" Blah blah blah. I'm going to bring non-STEM folk to talk about funding too, and talk about even tech. So I have non-STEM people who are using tech in their research area. So yes, the answer to you already is yes, but you need to really, really, really search. Okay, it takes a lot. You have to search a lot. I know more of non-STEM in the US than in Canada and UK combined together. Okay, I know more non-STEM folks who are funded, fully funded in the US than Canada and UK combined together. So I would say don't limit yourself to Canada and UK. Look at US too. But yes, people are getting funded too. Non-STEM, yeah, they are getting funded too. And majorly it will work by you looking at, in Canada, for example, you have to look out for a potential advisor. Okay, you look out for a potential advisor and the like. That's not compulsory in US, even though it's a good thing to do. Okay, in the UK, you have to depend on some specific scholarships, Commonwealth shared, Erasmus, which is Europe generally anyway. You have to look out for those other scholarship, Mastercard scholarship, even Canada too. Mastercard scholarship works for Canada too. So those are some of the things you have to look out for. But the answer generally is yes. The answer generally is yes. All right, let's come back to Twitter. Um, so Jendor, let's have you, Jendor of Lagos. Let's have you. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, so good evening, sirs. Mr. Samuel. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for the information. They've been very useful. So basically, I applied for MSc and PhD programs in kinesiology in the US. About 7 applications for 7 schools in the US, and I'm yet to get the response for majority of the schools. However, I did 2 PhD and the remaining 5 MNC. I got just one offer from Georgia State University without funding. So you've answered the majority of the questions on how to search for funding. However, I was sent one FAFSA something fund, but I later got to realize that the funding is just for domestic students in the US.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, because I emailed the coordinators, then they were like, funding opportunities are very slim for international students for the program and all of that. So I don't know if there are any other available opportunities for funding in such a scenario. And also for the other schools also, is it not too late for a response? I don't know if it is too late. However, to ending PhD programs, I'm expecting a response. And then for other schools, I don't know if it is not, I don't know if they would still reply. I'm not even sure. I don't know if they will still reply because there are about 7 or 6, plus the one I got. So the questions basically are just if there are other funding opportunities that are viable for the MSc program. And for the other schools also, I don't know if they would still respond and if there are chances of funding, because I know most funding application stops April because priority is April. So I don't know. So that's just my question, sir.
Okay, I know I've answered this question in various and diverse ways. Let me let Toyosi answer. Maybe his own type of answer will click with you better than what I have said. in the past. I don't want, of course, I've been repeating, yeah, which is part of it. Repetition is good, but I want Toyosi to come from his own dimension. So Toyosi, so please, will you take the question?
Okay. Thank you, my boss. Well, it happens a lot in non-STEM programs like that, and your program is not an exception. There is a guy currently at Baylor. Last year, he applied for a master's degree in exercise physiology. He got his admission just about 2 days after. He had first class in Nigeria, but there was no funding. It was disturbing the professors, like literally disturbing the professors from time to time. Fortunately for him, he was able to find someone and the man funded him. So in your own case, what I would advise you to do is you need to contact the coordinator to know the status of your application. Sometimes when the application is too much, like this year in my department, we had a lot of applications. When the application is too much, and when they've picked the ones that they want to bring to the next stage, they forget to even contact those that did not accept or they rejected, or they put in waiting list, because it's tiresome. So sometimes you may want to contact the school to know the status of your application. The first admission I got in the US, when I got to the US, that time, California State University, Educational Technology, I had to contact the coordinator that I did not hear from them. It was then when she told me that I've been admitted and that the official letter will come out in like 3 weeks or a month's time. So I knew beforehand that I was already admitted. You may want to go through that route. And for you doing PhD in kinesiology, are you in constant rapport with one or two professors in the department, especially for the PhD program that you are waiting for? If you've not done that, I think this is the time you need to start doing that now, so that your name will be familiar already. They may be reviewing a lot of applications, and even as we're talking right now, they may be reviewing. Somebody may be reviewing your own application right now that we're talking. So, but if that person who is reviewing it sees your name as like, oh, this person already emailed me some time ago, he will go through his email, search for the name. He will see the email that you sent to him, and he will read what you. So that may actually go a long way. So if you have not done that, I think you should do that now, especially for those 2 PhD applications that you are waiting for. Please do that now. So that was
So basically, for Michigan State University, I reached out to one of the professors. So it was like we schedule an interview. But after that time, I messaged him again, and I've not heard anything from him since that time. And also for Austin, that's University of Texas, Austin, I did the same thing. So that one messaged me back, then we scheduled an interview. So that one basically, what he did was he advised me not to apply for PhD. He said my skills are not strong for PhD, so he advised me to apply for MSc. Then I can apply for graduate assistantship and all of those things that he would check out from my application. So that's also one of the applications that I'm here to get a reply. So I don't know if it should be
the University of it's okay. The University of Texas at Austin. It's a very big school though. So did you decide to apply for the masters, or did you contact somebody else and they said the same thing also? Or you just postpone, you left?
When the man told me to, the professor told me to apply for MSc, so I just applied for MSc, and inside there they had the professor supervisor stuff, so I just selected the man's name.
Okay, good.
The professor. Then I reached back to him that I've applied. I reached back to him that I've applied, and they said, okay, it's fine, I will review my application.
Okay, and they've not gotten back to you, right?
And they've not gotten back to me.
Well, I think you've done quite a lot, and I know God will crown your effort about that. I think there's nothing else you can do other than just telling other professors that have similar interests that you've applied to this program. You like to also work with them. So because it's good to keep your options open. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and then just to add that, to remember that that a professor says is interested in you does not necessarily translate the fact that you will definitely be admitted. Okay, There are a lot of people that professors promise, but eventually they didn't get admitted. So have that at the back of your mind too. Of course, if it's been a long time that you communicated, you can send a reminder message to the professor that you just want to ask about the progress of your application. Okay, since you've been in communication before, it should be easier to just communicate with him again, just to know about the progress. Just to know about the progress. All right, all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
Thank you, Stoyosi. Let me quickly take Tef, Tefi Flames. She's been trying to connect since her network has been acting anyhow. Oh, the network dropped her again. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So let me take a question from YouTube, then we come back to Twitter again. So Isaac, you're asking on YouTube, for two partners that got admission into two schools in the US, can they get two separate F1 visas? Yes, of course. Nothing stops you from getting two separate F1 visas. Nothing stop you. I know couples who are on F1 visas, those who got it at the same time, around the same time, those who got it differently at different times and the like. So nothing stop you. Okay, my wife is a student too, so and she's on F1 visa, so that's not a problem. So nothing stops you from getting F1 visas. All right, back to Twitter. The monarch. Let's have you, the monarch.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know the time difference is here. So the questions I think I've had similar questions, like the question I wanted to ask, well, some people have asked them, but it's still based on funding. I have some admissions from the University of Michigan, West Virginia University, and Kent State, all without funding.
Wow.
And I really don't know what I'm doing wrong. I really don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's like I didn't apply in 2020, right? So I focused mainly on the US 2021. So I also got admitted then too, but without funding. So I really don't know. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in architecture, and I have interest in building architecture, landscape architecture, anything that has to do with climate change and environmental sustainability, basically. So I really don't know what I'm doing wrong right now, because it's all admissions and admissions without funding. So I would like to explore other funding routes to see how I can try to see if I can fund it from. I had some people having this unconventional way of funding by reaching out to other departments and getting funding from them. So I don't know how that is possible. So I really want to try to explore some other means of funding and see how it goes. I also heard about the Empower, but like you said, that is going to be a last option.
Yeah, last option. Yeah.
I know the stories with them to take loans and all of that. So it really doesn't sit well. I'd like to hear from anybody on how to go about it and see how it goes.
All right. So first thing I want to say is this. I'll allow to always speak too, but first thing I want to say is this: don't get discouraged. I know it can be very discouraging. I know you must have heard me share the story of Boluwatife is not here today. Boluwatife got 18 rejections in a cycle, and he applied again to like 21 schools or so, and he got like 8 of them. Okay, so number one, don't be discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged in this situation. I really know that. Number two, try everything we've been discussing, from meeting with professors, sending messages, everything we have mentioned that I've talking with those professors, requesting for funding, at least if they can try and give you, even if it's 30%, 50%. No, I shared the example of someone who they started increasing her funding maybe from 25 or 30%, 50%. I think it was on to 70%. They increased it to 70% when she left Nigeria. I'm not sure even if she got more when she got to the US. Yeah. And then because again, one other thing that is possible is this: the option of getting funded from another department. All that I've seen that have done that have been able to do that, they were here already. Okay, they were here based on the fact that they will sponsor themselves. They provided proof of fund at the embassy to the school, and yes, they prepared for at least maybe a year of funding for themselves. But they started moving from department to department, looking for where they can get this funding. They started using every opportunity on their school website, all the funding opportunities that they say are available on their school website. 5,000 scholarship there, 10,000 there. I know someone, the department will just call her that they will send her a mail that we already have 5,000, can it come for you? That's part of her tuition gone. They will send her a mail again. In fact, there was a time she was already planning to leave for another school. Okay, but the department just kept sending her message, we have this funding for you. She was just pulling all the strings available, and that was possible because she was here already. Okay, I've mentioned, if you joined late, you probably didn't hear this. I mentioned someone who had admission in a different department, but she was getting funded. She was doing an assistantship job in another department. The professor needed a student, but the professor does not have a student in her own department. And then this girl had to become a student for that professor, in quotes, to be doing assistantship duties for the professor. But she was already here. I know another person, she had her funding in a school, and then she's enrolled in a school, and she has her funding in another school. Okay, so it's possible in that situation when you are here. Of course, there's a relationship between the two schools, there's a collaboration between the two schools. That's why that was possible. But that's just for those who are here already. Okay. So if it's difficult to push for such when you are not here, the best you can do is to keep on emailing professors. Okay. That's the best you can do. Of course, loan, as I always say, will always be the last option, like I always say. Okay, but what you can do is keep on emailing the professors about these things. You want to know who has funding. It's very possible that you might just be lucky that you find someone who has funding. I shared the experience of someone I know. He was given admission without funding too, and I just told him email professors. He just kept emailing professors. I think there was a time he emailed a Nigerian professor. Maybe they didn't have funding. They had to look in around the department for funding for him, and was able to come from Nigeria. So don't give up. Email them, let them know your situation, and then of course, once you show interest, you want to work in this. If it's architecture, I know there were, of course, the funding there is not in abundance like many other departments, but there are funding there. There are professors who have projects. Of course, it will be limited. There will be a limit to the number of students they can take, but still push for it. Don't give up. And who knows, by the time you get, even if you're able to get, let's say, 30%, 50% scholarship, if it's 50% and then you say you can take care of the rest, once you get here, it's still possible to push for more and more and more. Okay, so push for it. Don't give up. Let me allow Toyosi to speak to this.
Sorry. I have one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have one final question, more of an advice. I actually need this right now because I'm a little bit in between right now. So I still have two more schools now, and one of them, the admission is certain. They are saying I would need to submit my original transcripts before I get my I-20 and normally funding information and all that. While the second one, the professor said I should the same transcript, and then the program coordinator said one of the professors is interested in my profile. That was what he said. He just told me, like, he just said it. We had a one-on-one session, and he just said it. So I sending transcript now is like money, and I'm still trying to think, is it something I should do, or I just need an advice, kind of. Is it something I should do, or I just need an advice, basically. So I don't know. I'd like to hear what you think about this right now.
Okay, so what I would say before I allow us to speak is, if the admission and funding is sure already, you can push for sending transcript. So if I were you, I want to ask who the professor is, that to be able to discuss funding situation with the professor. Okay, and then one of the things you discuss with a professor is that you want funding to reflect on your I-20. Professors know how they push it. Just they can write a letter to state that you have funding. Okay, and that's what you submit to the I-20 people with along your you add it to your admission letter which they have given you, and you add that letter for you. So if a professor is really interested in you, they can push funding for you. So try to know the professor and then get the funding, get to discuss with the professor so that you can get the funding information. So tell the professor you need funding and you need proof of fund to be able to process your I-20. I know people who have done that. That's not even a professor was interested in them. The department gave them letter that does not require fund, that does not include funding, and they told the professor they need funding. Not just need funding. The professor said, yes, when you get here, you get funding. They said, no, professor, I need proof of funding. And the professor wrote something for them from the department, of course, in line with order from department, maybe the admission officer, graduate admission committee and the like. And they were able to send it to the, what do you call it now, to the international office, and then they process their transcript and it has funding in it. Okay. So that's what I will advise. But Toyosi, generally, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, thank you, sir. See, one thing is this: the most important thing is getting through that embassy across to this side. That's the most difficult part, and that's where funding always comes to play very, very well. That's why everybody is struggling to get it. America is a land of opportunity. If you can find a way to get some sort of funding, even if it's not full, and you get here, there are a lot of opportunities here. Like Mr. Samuel has said, you can go from department to department, you can do so many things. Even here, I've been able to win 2 scholarships, one $500, one $1,000. I wrote an essay.
That's
there was
something.
another one, I made a small video. So these things are things that can actually help you get money in school and everything. The most important thing is getting here. So about you that you've been applying and getting admission without funding, trust me, you are not there alone. And Nothing is absolutely wrong with you. I also had a 2-1. I had a master's from University of Ibadan. I had a distinction in my master's. And I was getting admission without funding. So nothing is wrong with you. It happens. But what you do is you re-strategize. And one of the things you have to do is your curriculum vitae, the one we call curriculum vitae in Nigeria, is here that I know that they say that it's vitae. So your curriculum vitae, go back to your curriculum vitae and redo it. Polish it more. I think that's one of the things that people don't really work on, especially non-STEM programs. Work on the curriculum vitae. Even that computer training that you did and you have a certificate, put it on your curriculum vitae. Put it on your CV. That time that you taught secondary school or primary school in your place, put it on your CV. That time that you were able to be part of INEC this thing, you did PO during INEC elections. Those are things that you can put on your vita. If you've done voluntary works, put it on your vita. These are the things that could help you, have a stronger profile and have a way towards funding. And if still there are no funding and the department that you've applied to are saying there are no funding, this route may be difficult, but it's possible. Like I've said it once, each school has arrays of units across the school. I have a friend of mine doing his MBA here at Baylor. From Nigeria, he got a job on campus at the International Student Scholar Services. And somehow we lobbied and lobbied.
they were able to put that job on his I-20 as on-campus employment, and it drastically his monthly fee, his monthly salary that they will be giving him was calculated for a year into his I-20, and it drastically reduced his cost of attendance. So he was able to argue at the embassy, and also he now secured Empower to complete the remaining. And he's in the US now, he's working there. In fact, he's getting other ways of getting money. So you might actually want to look at places in the department, in the school rather. If it's diversity or the diversity unit, if it's, think about different, even the recreational centers. So many people, just send emails to them, the library, the museum, send emails to them, tell them that you've been admitted to the school, but make sure there are places that are similar to your field. And if any of them can just tell you that, well, we are taking applications and you want to apply, you let them know that you want to apply, but you coming from Africa, blah, blah, blah. If they can get you the employment letter before you have to come to the US. Most of them will not, but some will. You could be lucky. So that is when you have tried every means in your department and you're unable to get funding. That's another way you can also get it. It happens. People do it a lot of time. They get on campus employment even before arriving. You'll be surprised that the higher percentage of people get that. So I think that's one of the areas you might actually want to look at.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. I love the fact that they were able to calculate the job and then include that in the I-20. In fact, I didn't, when I was pushing for someone to push for unemployment, I mean, did I just say unemployment? When Nigeria is entering your head too much, you'll be saying. So when I was waiting for someone to get the employment stuff, and she was able to get it in the US, so I forgot to even tell her, let them calculate 1 year and add it to the I-20, because she was able to get, I think, 70% or so.
I have a question before we go to
We will come. I'll come to you. I'll come to you. Hello, Blessing. I'll come to you. Okay. I know the network has been throwing you out. We are coming. Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Blessing. I'll come to you. Okay. So that's a very good idea, very good idea, very good idea. And I love the fact that you mentioned that your friend was able to add Empower to add to the rest. Okay. And that's what I've been saying. Like, there's a question on YouTube here. Someone said, does loan give red flags during visa interview? Well, if it's something sure, the question you want to know is this: has someone gotten in before? Yes. Okay, so of course there may be some reservations and the likes, but you're able to prove your case. You're able to prove your case, like your friend Toyosi was able to prove you can get it. Prince, I see your question. Which semester do you advise entering into? I want to say many international students come for the August intake, fall intake, but many people come in spring too. I've seen people who came in spring. Okay, but some departments don't actually have funding for those who are coming in spring. They have for fall and the like. So I see people coming in fall most of the time, but people coming in spring too. That's also very, very, very possible. Mr. Fred, I see you. Thank you for joining in. Blessing, you can quickly ask your question. I'm rushing now. It's 2 hours already. Once it's 2 hours, we are pushing everything on a fast mode. So Blessing, quickly. Blessing, you can unmute yourself. Okay, it seems Blessing is really having a problem with the network. Blessing is really having a problem with the network. Victor, you can ask your question. Okay, Victor is also having problem. Okay.
Sorry, I'm here. Sorry, I'm here, guys. So, sorry. Good day. So sorry about the late response. I was trying to unmute. Okay, so my question is this: I've been writing some couple of applications to some code mails to some professors, especially some professors in Canada and in US, but I've not really been getting the responses I expect. The responses I've been getting have been quite low and quite discouraging, but I've not really been discouraged though each of those responses actually make me to go ahead to keep writing more. But I just feel like maybe there is something I'm missing, or I don't know. I'm just feeling. I'm just trying to ask: is there any template or something different from the one I've been using that I could actually utilize, or a secret or a hack to getting to reach out to these professors easily? I've been trying to reach out to you, Samuel.
Oh.
I just found out. I think your DMs are flooded, so I just was looking out for this opportunity so I could actually hear my view and then get your own response about how I can go ahead to get valid responses from these professors. Any of these keys would actually help out in my application, because I want to do a master's in environmental sciences and actually look out for graduate assistantship positions to help my studies.
So I will answer quickly, and I'll allow Fred and Mr. Fred and Toyosi to quickly chip in something too. So basically, of course, you cannot determine who responds or not. But of course, when you are sending your messages, basically some of the things you want to say is, oh, you are interested in what they are doing. You probably have read their research work before. You want to show them that you have the experience, or tell them about the experience you have. And you want to show that you have the enthusiasm to really work and get result and do something. Of course, if you have skills, it's an added advantage. For example, let's say someone who is applying to things that has to do with physics and the like, and you have skills in C++, Python programming and the likes and all those things. The added advantages, you want your experiences, the experiences which you've had in different places, they are added advantages. These are things the professor will want to see. Okay, these are the things the professor want to see, and that attracts them. Well, for example, let me give you the example of my wife. When she was telling the professor that she was speaking with, she said, oh, I did this method of PCR reaction, polymerase chain reaction, this PCR, this. She was mentioning all those techniques that she could do and all those things. The professor was impressed that, oh, you learned this from Nigeria, you did this from Nigeria. Oh, she said, I've been doing this with with cell before, do this. The professor was impressed. Those are the things the professor want to see. Okay, those are the things that really, really attract them. And don't let your message be too long. When it becomes too long, they just open it and close it back. Okay, you want to go straight to the point, hit the nail on the head straight away. But even at that, no matter how complete you are, many professors are really, really busy. Not all of them will get back to you. And that's a short thing. And that's why you will not give up. You will not give up. Just keep doing it. Just keep sending it to them. Okay, you will not give up. But put in the necessary information. Let them know that you are interested and you are enthusiastic about what they are doing, and you want to join in that thing. So let me allow Mr. Fred and Toyosi to answer the question. Mr. Fred, welcome. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So it's great. I'm always happy when I see spaces like this. Thank you for holding the space. So, brother, it's good that you are taking the initiative of emailing professors, just like Brother Samuel said. You know, you're definitely not going to have everybody responding, but of course, you don't give up. So, first thing, you do not have to have a generic template that you're going to edit to be sending. Remember, environmental science, some departments require that you get a supervisor. Now, an email that is going to be sent to a supervisor is a bit different from a generic email to the head of the department of the program. So first of all, you have to pay attention to the information on the website. You do not have to ask questions that has already been answered on the department website. If you do that, they are simply going to copy a link to the information on the university website and send it to you. And that's why you will say that you're getting the response that you do not, you're not really happy about, because that information or the question you ask is already on the university's website. So your questions are supposed to be specific. But as someone said it right, that keep it short. You're asking about two things. You are expressing yourself in terms of introducing yourself academically, and also asking about one, admission. Two, asking about scholarship. You are attaching a copy of your transcript and hopefully maybe your CV, but most importantly, your transcript. So you're not going to ask information already posted on the website. You're asking something different from what you have already read. And so basically, keep on pushing. One, sometimes when you use a generic email like the Gmail account, they use Yahoo or something, most of the professors have, institutional emails. And sometimes, like personally, if somebody sends me an email to my, university email address, because of the security system, it goes into my spam box. So sometimes, because you're using a Gmail or Yahoo mail to send it to them, They may not even see it in their inbox. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes some professors are busy, they are out of the office. And even though it's advanced world, sometimes the information on the website, like currently the director of my program has been changed. But if you go to our website, it's still the old one. So if you have to find out, are you supposed to get a supervisor, or are you supposed to email generically the head of the department? Remember, these two emails are different. Emailing a supervisor who intends to take you and work with you so that you be getting the assistantship is very different from emailing the overall boss of the department asking if you be admitted and if you be considered for scholarship.
So sorry to cut you out. So actually, the emails are to the supervisors, not literally to the schools.
Exactly.
The admission officer.
So it's not every department that requires that you get a supervisor. Sometimes the only email you need to send is that you talk to the head of the department, because you're talking about environmental science. I graduated from Ohio University. There's an environmental science program there. You do not have to get a supervisor. The email has to go straight to the director of the program. So you have to read on the department website whether they expect you to get a supervisor or simply talk to the director of the program. Go ahead and submit your application. In Ohio University that I'm talking about, on the environmental science program, there are about 2 Nigerians and about 5 Ghanaians on the same department. When you gain admission, you are now assigned to somebody, a professor in the department. So when you go ahead and email a certain professor in the department, the person will know that you did not read on the university website and you are not supposed to talk to him, but you're rather supposed to email the director of the entire program. But you get it. So basically, different departments work differently. So you need to identify whatever program you want to apply to. Check the department website. They have instructions on how to go about it. So don't just assume that generically every program requires you to get a supervisor. I am reading public administration at the moment. I did not need a supervisor. I talked to the director of the program. He said I should go ahead and apply, and that's it. I went ahead and applied. And generically talking about funding, Mr. Samuel, if you allow me, mostly a lot of people, the smooth path is that get admission, get a full scholarship, go ahead, get your visa, and then come. But sometimes it doesn't work like that for a lot of people. Some people will get admission, they will not get a scholarship. It is when they get to campus, that is where they will get a scholarship. So if you get admission alone, it's a big deal. A lot of people applied, you were considered for admission. It doesn't necessarily mean that you should wait for scholarship before you come. On a more serious note, getting the scholarship sort of, smoothing the visa processes for you. But there are a whole lot of people too who get full scholarship and yet do not get the visa. So if you have a partial scholarship, if you have some sort of scholarship, you can decide to call it half empty or half full. If you have a cup filled with water to the middle, I will call it half full. And you push through when you get here, you'll definitely be fine. So don't expect a smooth path like, I'm going to get an admission. If I don't get a full scholarship, I'm not going. Bro, it doesn't work like that for everybody. So sometimes when you get here, that's when the doors of full scholarship will open for you. Because it's a job. And mostly people will get the job and they will get the assistantship. They will go to a different school without even telling the other schools that they are not coming. So when you are able to push through and you get here, that scholarship offer is given to you. And I have countless number of friends that have had opportunity to assist that, they had the similar case that they got on campus before they had a full scholarship. I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Samuel.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Toyosi, you can unmute yourself too. Okay, let's allow Blessing speak. She's been having issues with her network.
If you have some sort of funding, you should try and go. But in my own case, I have a little bit of funding. But it comes with a requirement, with terms and conditions. I cannot, if I'm accepting that scholarship, then I cannot apply for assistantship. So in that case, what would you advise me to do? And the second question is for people that are going for course, because people, you're talking about sending code emails to professors and all of that. For people that are going for course that doesn't involve research, and especially when your PhD doesn't even align with what you're going for masters, because I graduated from mechanical engineering and I'm going for information systems in masters. But I've gained prerequisite knowledge from professional courses and all before applying. What do you think my basis of school's email should be? It's just enlightening my views or what? I don't know if you get my question.
So your first question is about, can you remind me again? I just missed it. I wanted to jump on it before. Blessing, your first question. Blessing, your first question. Can you repeat again? Okay, it seems Blessing is having issue with. Did anyone get that first question? The first question she asked.
Hello, should I come again with the question?
Yes, come again. Okay, network is dealing. All right.
I think she can't hear us, but I don't know. Maybe we can hear her, but I don't think she's receiving our voice.
But did you get that first question talking about?
Well, can you hear me?
She wasn't speaking loud first.
Listen, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Should I come again with the question?
Yes, come again. Okay. So network is really.
Hello, I said, should I come again with the question?
Yeah, so I want to ask Blessing. So you said you got that scholarship and they said you cannot apply for assistantship again. Did that scholarship cover your full tuition? Okay, so Blessing, we're having issues with you. If you can type your question, I will try and look for it. If you can type your question. Let me see. Blessing. Okay. If you can type your question. Now, what I want to confirm, if you can hear me actually, what I want to confirm is this. Does the scholarship you said they gave you, they said if you receive it, you cannot apply for assistantship again. Does the scholarship cover your tuition fully? Okay. Now, if it covers it fully and there's no and you are sure that that will do for you, I will say go for it. Okay, instead of waiting for an assistantship that is not certain, an uncertain assistantship. Blessing is really having the issue with the network. Okay, so sorry, Blessing, I will have to mute you. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to answer your question. I just wanted to know what situation you are actually facing. All right. So, Toyosi, you wanted to answer Victor's question on.
Yes. Mr. Fred has said it all, and everything he said are facts. So, just to add to the things he said, I think you will be surprised that the same professor that you sent an email a few minutes ago, somebody else will send him an email and he will respond just because of the way you wrote the email. So I think one of the things we need to do is that when you're applying to graduate school, start feeling like you're already in graduate school, and that's by reading. And how do you do that? Every professor has their CV attached to their websites, where the page is on their faculty page. So what you do is that when you see that professor that you really like to work with, let's say you've gotten admitted or you're still applying, and you've contacted the program coordinator, always contact the program coordinator first. I would always say that before you contact any professor, sometimes it looks like you're intruding. Always contact the program coordinator first and inquire about whatever questions you want to ask. So if their policy states that sometimes the program coordinator will tell you that, well, you have to find an advisor for yourself, you have to find a professor for yourself, then that's when you start trying to identify possible supervisors for your program. So when you look at the professors, you look at their program, you see their research interests, you look at their CV, then you look at their latest research works, like 2021, 2020, 2022 publications. Then what you do is you look for the files on Google Scholar, on Google whatever. Read the abstract, read the conclusion, have an idea of what the person is trying to do, the way the person is thinking. So when you are sending an email, it won't just be like, well, I'm a social student, I want to apply, I like to work with you. You will have something more specific to talk about. You can always talk about, well, I read your article in which you published at social journal which talked about, so I love the fact that you feel that this should be adopted in the classrooms. I am very passionate about this kind of research and seeing what more things that we can explore in that area. So if a professor sees something like this, the professor will reply your email. I'm telling you, like 8 out of 10 times, they reply your email. So I think that's one of the things we need to adopt, especially when we are applying. Take the pain to read the CV of your possible advisors, so that by the time you're sending any email, you will have something more specific to talk about, and they will see you as somebody that they can, even if they don't have funding, they can tell you that, okay, can you set up like a Zoom meeting? Let us talk. Just because you've shown interest in what they are passionate about, they might decide to just have a Zoom meeting with you, and from there things can happen. So that's one of the things I did, and it worked for me. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
All right. Thank you. So we are winding down gradually. I'm sorry I won't be able to take any more requests. Siron, I salute you. I see you. I see. I think you can enter each other's DM. That would be really fine. That would be really beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, sure. You can send me a message in my DM, or just tell me.
Yeah, good. So, Aka, you want to speak again? Let me have you, and then I will pick more questions, all the questions from YouTube, and then we'll be able to. Okay, Tefla, I will have you to. Yeah, if the network does not throw you out again, oh, it threw you out. So sorry. So, Aka, quickly, let's have you.
My question is, you said that you have to inquire, you have to look for various ways of funding. You have to search.
Yes, definitely.
So, and funding, you said that you can get you have to look for all kind of fundings, because funding is not just of one type; it's of all kinds.
Yes, very true.
So I want to know what kind of funding. I want to know the basic one. I know that it's tuition fee, because that's the popular one.
Yeah, so the idea which we have been saying since I know you joined very early, so you not giving you full funding. They give you 50%, and then you get funding from some other means, and they're able to increase it a bit. They're able to give you additional 10%, or you're able to get a scholarship. And sometimes the scholarships will just go towards your tuition straight away. A 3,000 scholarship, 10,000 scholarship, 1,000 scholarship, and the like. And gradually the tuition is being reduced. So this is a situation where the funding was not given in full. The tuition was not waived totally. Okay, and then the student had to just depend on this different kind of funding from different departments, from different angles to come in. So that's the situation.
That means we can, in order to fund, we can look for multiple people but we have to. That means when we have to fund, we can look for multiple people. It's not necessary that we have to fund our education through one person only.
Yeah, that's the idea. That it's not necessarily the funding has to come from just the department. You can go all out to other departments to get that funding, and it's possible. It's very possible to do when you are on ground. And Toyosi shared an example of someone who was able to move around, send messages even from Nigeria, and was able to get a job on campus. And they were able to calculate the yearly fee and include it in the I-20 as part of the ways it's funding is education. So the funding can come from different sources. That's the idea of the sourcing for the funding.
So you have also explained that if you can convince.
If you can convince
them.
Yes, very true. If you can do that.
Various criteria for which the professors look for in order to convince them.
The what?
Fund your education. So you also explain the various criteria for which the professors look for in a student.
for you to be able to, yeah, exactly, for you to be able to convince them. The professor, for example, if you're writing to the professor, there are skills you have, and the professor might be interested in it. The professor want to see the skill. You have some programming skill, you've had research experience before, you've done some research in that particular area before, and then you'll be beneficial to the lab, to the group, or whatever it's called. So some of those skills the professor want to see. Okay, and those are the ways, and that's dependent on the professor that actually has funding, okay, for the research work he's doing. And we have also established the fact that assistantship can even come in form of administrative one, where you just have to work somewhere, okay, not necessarily as a teaching assistant or research assistant, but based on what you can help them, what you can offer them. I hope that is clear. Okay.
So this question also varies from professor to professor. It might not be necessary that each and every professor is looking for the same criteria.
That's possible, yes. And that will be based on the research that the professor is doing too. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are a good fit for the research work that they are doing too.
That means it depends. Then I have to look for think from perspective of the professor, which is going to fund, because that professor will look for certain criteria which will benefit him. Then which will benefit him, or then only he or she will fund that particular.
Yes, exactly. Very true. Yeah.
That means it might be possible that the professors from the same department they will be ready to fund. Is it possible that two professors from the same department, but researching on doing research on different topics?
So what I generally advise people is this. Now you are interested in a research work, okay? It doesn't first, like someone was asking earlier on YouTube, that should I send email to two professors at the same time? And I said, no, in the same department, no. You want to get a response from a professor first before you move on to another person if the response is not positive. But okay, this is what we can do. We can communicate via DM and ask all the questions, and I'll give response to you, because the time is fast spent, and then I'm trying to wind down gradually so we can end in time. So send me a message in DM, then we'll be able to do that. Thank you. All right, so let me pick some of the questions from YouTube, and then we're ending gradually. Quadri, you're asking, does having GRE boost my chances to land scholarship? My interest is in business analytics, and I have a non-STEM degree. Okay, so GRE, it depends on the school you're applying to. If the school requests for GRE, of course, a very good GRE score will boost your chances. Of course, if the school says it's optional, if you have a GRE, send it. It will boost your chances. But some schools will say you don't even need to send your GRE at all. You don't even need to do GRE at all. In that situation, your GRE really adds nothing. But of course, if you have it, I always advise people just send everything you have. Okay. Isaac, you are saying, okay, based on my earlier response on partners having separate F1 visas, does that mean both partners can work legally in the US? Since none of them is using dependent. So F1 visas, those on F1 visas can only work for 20 hours per week, okay? And if you are receiving assistantship already on campus, it's counted to you that you're already doing the 20 hours per week, so you cannot do more, okay? Isaac, that's the answer to the question. But if you don't have assistantship from the school, if you're not receiving funding from the school, then you can go and work outside and do more time if you want to do. I mean, I know folks who were in that situation before. Many people don't like it. They want to be on the full funding so that they can be relaxed more. They are on their toes when they have to work outside, and it's not assistantship in the school. So you can only work 20 hours per week, and they count, if you're on assistantship, the 20 hours is counted for you already. You cannot do more legally. Isaac, that answers your question. Musa, you're asking, you got admitted to study masters in computer science at Montclair State University. Acceptance notification didn't say anything about funding. Okay, and getting admitted is a requirement for you. Okay, so Musa, what you should do is send a message to the graduate coordinator. That's your first call of action, for your first point of action. Send a message, let them know that yes, you have received it, but you want to ask about funding in the department. Let whatever the response will be will determine the next line of action for you to take. Everything we've been saying, go through the video again, all the methods we've mentioned, everything we've mentioned, then you begin to take steps one by one. Okay. Oh, okay. Your question extends to this. Okay, is a requirement for you to be considered. Oh, they ask you to pay 200 deposit. Uh, you need to ask them first, what's the assurance that you are getting accepted? Because some schools, I'll call them mushroom schools, they are just starting, or they are just whatever, and then they just collect deposit, and then students are not, they don't give students scholarship or assistantship, students are not able to come. That means you have enriched them. Okay, $200, $300, they become richer at your own expense. And I don't want to fall into that situation. You want to be sure they will give you assistantship first. That's what I believe in. You want to be sure they give assistantship first. That's the first thing you want to do. All right, we've spent 2 hours 34 minutes. Oh, it's not easy. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined. I want to say a big thank you. I can see my namesake. Yes, Samuel, I can see you. Sairon, I can see you. Maujo, very many people here that will talk. Abosed there, I can see you. Very many people. Safred, Toyosi, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much, Chike. Yes, I see you. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you. Real, real, real good. Yeah, so we'll be, of course, updating the timeline with some information about funding too. But if you join this meeting late, there's a lot you need to listen to. So go back, listen to it again and again, either from Facebook, I mean from Twitter or on YouTube. Listen to it again and again. We dish out so too much information that you need to take time to digest it and actually know your next line of action. You need to plan. Okay, you need to plan. It's possible you can get funding for your graduate school in the US. And for those who are considering that loan option, if that is your last card, I've already shared a link on the what do you call it now, on the space session. Is a unique link to me. You can apply through that. But that's last option, as I always say. And I love the testimony to also gave that someone was able to get job and the school, and he asked them to add it to the assistantship. That would be a new talking point for me anyway. He asked them to compute the 1 year payment, and then they added it to the I-20, and he added Empower loan to it, and was able to get his visa at the embassy and all the stuff. So take action. Take action. It is very, very, very possible. Don't give up. Rejections will come. It's normal. It will always come. That's normal. Even when you get into grad school, different things will happen. Rejections will come. You still send email to professors. Professor will not respond. I've sent email to professors in the past few weeks that they didn't respond. I went to their office, like, I've been sending you email, what's going on? And they just tell me, oh, I've been busy, this and that. Okay, so don't give up. Don't give up. Ibukun, you are writing on YouTube that you could not ask your question. So quickly ask on YouTube so that I can quickly answer before we end the session in 4 minutes. Ibukun, quickly ask. Okay, so if Oluwa, let me quickly answer a question. A master's student in France, can you apply for your F1 visa there? Yes, you can apply for your F1 visa there since you are there already. It's stress going back to Nigeria, so you can apply for F1 visa anywhere you are. I have people apply from different countries, from Germany, from Pakistan. I've had people apply from, no, I even have people apply in Mexico. People go down to Mexico to apply for F1 visa. People go to Canada to apply for F1 visa. They didn't need to go back to Nigeria. So since you're in France already, you can apply for your F1 visa there. It's very, very, very possible. And interestingly, what I've also observed is that it looks easier from some of these countries. I know someone who applied for visa from Nigeria, applied many times, but the person got rejected. And the person got to UK, and a few weeks ago applied to visa from UK, and the person got it just once. Okay, so some of these things happen too. So just the way you are and apply it. So Ibukunji is your question. You have you have offer from Virginia Tech University fully funded. No. Ibukun, don't get it twisted. You already have full funding. You don't need loan anywhere again. Okay, you already have full funding. What they just need to do is include all those funding information in your I-20. Okay, so the full funding, get a letter. That letter that you've gotten from the department or from your department, the letter they send to you, that's what you send to those making the I-20. Okay, you don't need to use any loan or whatever. You already have full funding. Okay, you already have full funding. So that's what you should use, Ibukum. Don't delay. Just get that letter, send it to those guys, and they will compute your I-20 and do what is necessary for you. And that's what you will go and use at the embassy. Empower does not send money for flight tickets. They pay directly to the school for tuition and living expenses. They don't do flight tickets. So you have to source for your own flight ticket yourself. But you have gotten the hard one. The hard part is getting full funding, which you already have. Okay, so just to go for it. Flight ticket, you will get it. God will provide. Money will come. You'll be able to fly from Nigeria to the United States. God will do it. Just believe God will do it. So just start moving with that faith and in that direction. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, Satoyoshi, in 30 seconds, let me have you.
Okay, thank you, sir. There's a professor in my department. She's in science education. She's Nigerian. She has funding. And she's looking for a student, a PhD student, preferably a Nigerian. She wants to work in Nigeria. So her name is Justina Ogodo. She's into chemistry education, biology education. So if you know somebody who has a degree or a master's in science education with teaching experience, she's very specific about that. Teaching experience and a master's in education. If you have let's say you have a background in physics, you have a master's in education with teaching experience, you are a good fit. So anybody, if there's anybody like that, please, you can send me a DM about that person. Please don't contact me if you do computer. She doesn't want computer science education. She wants physics, biology, or chemistry, pure science courses with education.
Okay, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. No, I have a friend who did mechanical engineering, and for his PhD, he did mechanical engineering education. Education. Yeah, that's what he did for his PhD. He graduated this December, I think. This December. Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. Yeah, I really love that. So science, education, physics, chemistry, please contact Toyosi. You can get something.
I will let you, so that you put it in the email that it's from me. So you know it's coming from me. I'm the one who is referring you. She has funding with her. Her PhD student just did her dissertation. She appeals to the needs a new PhD student.
All right, that's beautiful. Thank you for that information. Please contact Toyosi. It's possible. And this thing, professors need students every now and then. Remember, I said a few weeks ago, in fact, I once had a professor from UK that needed someone statistic. I then tweeted it out. Some people contacted him or from somewhere. In fact, I had to recommend those people, and he got one of them. Another professor, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, FAMU, and then he got someone from my one of my followers too. So it's very possible Twitter can be a blessing. Twitter, YouTube, everywhere can be a blessing to you. It doesn't have to be violence around and all those things. You can make good use of your time too. All right, Satiefi, I see you. Okay, we need to talk then. We will talk. I see you. All right. So Isaac, I'm not sure that is possible. It's a 5-year program. They only do 2 years. But of course, you can click the link and speak to them first and foremost to see. But I don't think that is possible. They only fund for 2 years. I don't think they do PhD. I don't think so. All right. Thank you everyone so much. I'm so sorry those who are still requesting for the mic. This is 2 hours 41 minutes. I planned maximum of 2 hours. In fact, I planned 1 hour plus, but this is 2 hour plus already. So we cannot go beyond this. My boys are waiting to play with me. I have to go and play with them. This is spring break. They should see me around. All right. Thank you so much. God bless you. Really good. Thank you for joining in. Very soon we'll be coming with some other things. Those in non-STEM who want to learn how to use tech to gain some things and funding and I should be coming very soon with a friend who is in non-STEM but is using tech to do some of these things he's doing. He's doing very wonderfully well. In fact, he has graduated now. He graduated this year or last year, either of the two. Okay, so yeah, he's graduated already. He has a lot to discuss in this line. I'll bring him. He's a very good resource. He finished from UI too. We finished together from UI. All right. Thank you so much from YouTube. Thanks so much from Twitter. God bless you. Really good. Have a nice night. God bless you.